Thursday at the Twin Cities. Tonight, it is the Carolina Hurricanes and the Minnesota Wild. The Wild just finished a 5-game road trip, returning home after getting shut out in back-to-back games, 6-0 to the Ottawa Senators and 3-0 to the Boston Bruins. They're still in a playoff spot, but it's getting more precarious after the injury to Kirill Kaprizov, which put him on the LTIR. Carolina is who they're facing tonight. They got shut out themselves 2 nights ago against the Winnipeg Jets 3-0 and want to bounce back after losing 2 straight games themselves. Mikko, Rantanen, and Taylor Hall have 2 and 1 points respectively, 5 and 4 games respectively at their starts in Carolina. Minnesota's been slowing down after a 26 and 4 start. Kaprizov has played just 2 games since then. Hello everyone, I am Alec Nava. Great to have you guys here at the Twin Cities in St. Paul, Minnesota. Last game was the 4th time this season the Hurricanes were blanked. Eric Comrie stopped all 29 shots he faced. Pyotr Kochetkov made 27 saves, his first regulation loss since January 7th. It was the 3rd time the Canes suffered consecutive regulation defeats this season, and they're 12-4-1 in games following regulation losses this season, including 2-1-0 after being shut out. Kochetkov will want to switch his streak of allowing 3 or fewer goals to 12 straight games, as he has not allowed more than the 3 goals in a game since December 27th. While the Wild have defeated the Hurricanes earlier this season 4-0, they were by the 10-game suspension of Ryan Hartman for intentionally trying to injure Tim Stützle during their loss to Ottawa. After a torrid hot start from opening night to American Thanksgiving, they came back down to earth in the absence of Kaprizov, who had surgery in January. They rely a lot on Marco Rossi, Matt Boldy, and Matt Zuccarello, who have each tallied 14 points in 16 games since the turn of the new year. But the disadvantage they have compared to Carolina is special teams, where they're even on the power play. Minnesota's penalty kill has been porous, being the 3rd worst in the entire league. Only 6 teams have played fewer games with at least 1 power play goal this season. While Carolina lost 3-0 to the Jets, there's something to like about that game. The revamped power play has several good chances after scoring 2 power play goals on 42 opportunities in the 16 games prior. And the pairing between Sebastian Aho and Mikko Rantanen with Jackson Blake has developed a ton of chemistry. Taylor Hall is also fitting in nicely on the second line, and the 2-game losing streak is coming off the heels of a 7-game point streak, with only one being an overtime loss. That game didn't wear the luster of the penalty kill. They still have the league's best unit in that department, as well as the most games without giving up a power play goal, 36. The last game marked the first time they gave up multiple power play goals in a game, and just the 4th time this season. Only 4 teams have recorded such fewer games, and their 6 shorthanded goals also ranked tied for 7th this season, with 3 of them coming since the turn of the new year. Only the Sens have more since the calendar flipped to 2025. For Minnesota, they were blanked in their last 2 games, 4-6-0 in their last 10. They blanked the Canes 4-0 a month ago. Philip Gustafson will be decreased again when he stopped all 21 Hurricanes shots. In some of the recent wins, though, it was the 4th line that developed an identity. Mara Kushnedinov, in particular, has been encouraging. He was one of the Wild's more interesting prospects entering the season. This task with anchoring the bottom unit this season has had mixed results. It's been more consistent with his motor, skating speed, hockey IQ, and competitiveness. To get Ian on board here, how are we tonight?
Oh, it's the calm before the storm, Mr. Nava.
Of course it is. Just 3 days away from the big one. The big game that we've been anticipating ever since the start of the season. And the date has been circled. The rematch from 2 years ago. We'll see how this fares around.
Yeah, it's... Obviously, I'm going with my team, but if I was an outside viewer, I couldn't pick one.
That is fair, of course. Though experience does help both sides. Well, more so the Chiefs, knowing their years upon years of playoff experience and Super Bowl winning experience as well. The Eagles do have a measure of revenge from 2 years ago, this time around with the beast that is unleashed. Saquon Barkley has over 400 rushing yards in 3 playoff games. That almost doesn't sound real at all. You keep in mind though, he almost broke Eric Dickerson's rushing record. Even though there was that 17th game added in, a rushing record means history.
Well, here's the thing about a lot of Saquon's yards this go around. Teams that couldn't, one of the big reasons that he got those was because defenses didn't know how to tackle him, or they couldn't tackle him. I don't see that being a problem with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yards after contact, as so they say here, with the broken tackles left and right. He's been an unstoppable force, and had it not been for 2 guys by the names of Lamar and Josh, we could see him being in the MVP winner conversation.
Sure, I can't even say at this point he should be, because I gotta be honest, man. Josh impressed me this season. I can't even. Yeah, I can't even I can't even pass any bull on that. I can't make a joke about that. He impressed.
Especially with doing more with less weapons around on paper. With the loss of Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis in the offseason, you have a wide receiver core that's basically wide receiver 1 by committee. Didn't matter who was the primary receiver, it was feeding his guys. So we're 1 minute away from the opening puck drop. So we got our starting lineups here. For Carolina, it goes like this. Mikko Rantanen, Sebastian Aho, and Jackson Blake. Those are 2 Finns on the top line that we're going to see in the Four Nations face-off. Taylor Hall, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Andrei Svechnikov on the second line. Jordan Martinook, Jordan Staal, Seth Jarvis, who we'll see in the Four Nations face-off for Team Canada. Tyson Juha Jaska, Jack Roslovic, and Eric Robinson on the fourth line. Jacob Slavin and Brent Burns. Slavin being on Team USA for the Four Nations. Shane Gostisbehere with Sean Walker. Dmitry Orlov with Jalen Chatfield. Pyotr Kochetkov is likely to start. Rod Brindamore has been non-committal to a starter. If he's not able to go, it's going to be Freddie Anderson getting the nod in net. For Minnesota, their lineups are like this. No Kirill Kaprizov for them. He's on the LTIR after having surgery to account for a lower body injury. So the lineups are like this. Matt Boldy, Marco Rossi, and Matt Zuccarello. Boldy, who we'll see in the Four Nations for USA. Liam Ogren, Joe Erikssonek, Four Nations face-off rep for the Finns. And Marcus Johansson, we'll see on the Swedes. Marcus Foligno, Freddie Gaudreau, and Vinny Hinostroza, who will make his wild debut after being claimed off waivers from Nashville. And to round it out, Devin Shore, Marat Kushnetdinov, and Yakov Trenin. It is Anderson getting to start for Carolina. For Minnesota, their defense pairs are Jake Middleton with Brock Faber, Team USA rep, Jonas Brodin and Jared Spurgeon. Brodin, who we'll see for Sweden. Declan Chisholm and Zach Bogosian to round it out. Philip Gustafsson will get the start in net. Marc-Andre Fleury is the backup. Of course, we'll see Gustafsson in the Four Nations for Sweden. Jordan Staal wins the opening faceoff against Joe Erikssonek. Let's get rocking and rolling here at the Twin Cities. And we get started with an early hit and immediately a whistle. 8 seconds in, that didn't take long. So Rob Brindamore tweaked up the lines a bit. He put Svechnikov with Staal and Martinook to begin in this game. Martinook and Staal, the 2 Jordans here. Svechnikov fires turned away by Gustafsson. From the left point, it's held in by Orlov. This went off the pad of Gustafsson. Held in by Svech, who goes down low for Martinook. Set up for Staal, he gets tied up by Erikssonek. Kept in, backhand shot, and Gustafsson shut it down. So far, early goings here for Philip Gustafsson, who is likely to be the starting goaltender for Sweden in the Four Nations. So we can also rank every player in the Four Nations. Yes, Finland named some replacements for the injured Miro Heiskanen and Jani Hakanpää. Those are Henri Jokiharju and Oro Vakanainen. It was a setup in front, but Staal was tangled up. Off this face-off, Slavin kicked out by Gustafsson. Loose stick. That was one of the Canes. That was Rantanen. From the left side, Bodie sends this one deep onto the far corner. Slavin loses the battle. Centering pass for Bodie. Went over a stick. Scooped up by Aho. Breakout pass all the way for Jarvis at the far side. Oh, he gets taken down and slammed by Faber. Hometown kid in the state of Minnesota. Ian Middleton both in on Rantanen and Jarvis. Rantanen getting to number 96. Roslovic switching to 98 out of deference. Right behind the net, Jarvis to Burns. Burns, he looked for a deflection. It wasn't there. Minnesota picks it up. Here's Matt Bodie going one-on-one with Burns. Bodie waits for help. That didn't get there, and his pass was knocked away. Pass is canceled out center off Rantanen. It'll be picked out by Zuccarello, the only Norwegian on an NHL roster right now. Minnesota's changing. As restarting, this is Brodin. Bodie. Kerwin Dragons. This is sent in off the stick. Sent a pass in front. That was kicked off of Kochetkov but held in. Brodin backpedals up from the left point. Fired wide. Kochetkov couldn't locate himself at the far corner with Hinostroza in pursuit. Sticked away and Carolina's in control. Up the center, it is Blake. Tic-tac-toe for Gossesbear, who managed to keep that one in. Brodin from the near corner. Pressure by Blake, who's getting more minutes in the top six after Martin Necas got traded to Colorado. From the far corner, some more tangle-ups as this puck is still free. Makes his way over to the near corner where it's Blake picking it up. Right behind the net. Taylor Hall. He falls down and loses an edge. Blake helping him out. Turnaround shot was blocked in front, but the puck is held in. Blake goes down low for Kokeniemi. Centering pass was knocked away by Gaudreau at the far side. And now moving up through the ice, it's Marcus Foligno going one-on-one. Foligno fires, is kicked out by Kochetkov. And Carolina clears it. Actually, that was Anderson. I am confusing between him and Kochetkov immediately. But that's my bad on my part. From the right point, that was knocked away. Roslovic is in pursuit. Chisholm delivers to Bogosian, but is held in by Carolina. Roslovic on the keep. Flips it all the way down to the far corner off of Gustafson's stick. And cleared out by Minnesota. Chatfield sticks it over to the near half boards. Gets knocked away. As on the way was Trenton. Now it's a foot race. Minnesota Wizards, Kushnetdinov. Send a pass in front. Toe drag! And they score! A fancy stick work by Yakov Trenin to get Minnesota on the board.
And here we go.
As it's mentioned, the fourth lines establishing the identity of this Wild team over the last few games. As Kushnetdinov wins the foot race against Jalen Chatfield. Manages to open up to find a wide open Yakov Trenin, who was slotted into this lineup. As a little nice forehand backhand on Freddie Anderson. And it was all it from there. Through the 5-hole as well. Trenin gets Minnesota on the board. It's 1-0. Fifth goal of the year for Trenin. Here comes the response from Burns. He gets turned away by Gustafson. This is Trenin's first goal in 7 games as well. This puck is bouncing in front. Minnesota clears it out. Carolina looking to deliver it back, but can't do so. So far, not too shabby on the start for the Wild after Ryan Hartman got suspended for 10 games for intentionally trying to injure Tim Stützle. He is serving his second game of his 10-game suspension. Stahl drives it deep. Svetch over to far half boards, delivers it over to the point. And this shot didn't go all the way through. It's loose to the slot. Chatfield picks it up and it's turned away by Gustafson. At the far corner, Minnesota does get it out ever so slightly. Slavin scoops it up. At his own zone, holds on to it as both teams change the lines. Rantanen's out there. So is Aho. Delivered over to the right side. Chatfield moves it up. Jarvis pickpocketed it by Brodin. As Brodin is moving it up through center and gets this down. Anderson out of his crease to play for Chatfield. Moving it up through the near side of the ice for Rantanen for Aho, who parks at the right point. Going cross ice over to the left side. This one went out off of Gustafson off the pad. Chatfield on the keep as the shot was from Orlov. Intercepted pass, but it was just held in by Carolina. Now it's at the far corner. This one right onto Gustafson as the rebound was poked free. Left circle. Now backed up at the point. Orlov over to Jarvis. And Zuccarello intercepts that pass as he had a seeing eye. Jumping clear. Did not get by the outstretched glove as Carolina is dominating offense its own time, but Minnesota leads where it counts. Despite being outshot 5-2 and the opening 5 minutes. Blake tangling up several Wild players over the penalty box doors, but Gus and Zuccarello could not handle this one. Blake could, and Minnesota opts to go for a change. Jackson Blake the first over to Dmitry Orlov, or rather Shane Gostisbehere. We had to dump this one in again because he was tangled up on the first attempt, and Bogosian's flipped this one away. At the far half boards, rink wide pass all the way across for Chisholm, gets pickpocketed, and bringing this back in is Taylor Hall, who gets this down of a shot on Gustafsson, who covers up. And because Taylor Hall has taken the number 71, Jesper Fast, who will not play this season because he is out for the year with off-season neck surgery, he'll have to choose a new number. As such, he cannot choose the number 71 anymore. And of note, Trent has scored his first home goal this season on that backhand forehand. It's got to feel good for this guy. Right after a brief stint with Colorado. Down low off this faceoff, Faber tied up by 2 Hurricanes. With the far half boards, this gets bouncing over to the opposite side, and Middleton clears this one out. Moving up by Carolina, this goes back for Middleton, who defers to Faber. Faber moves it through. Nothing there as it was broken up the middle for the ice. Off Devon Shore. It'll be scooped up by Trennan. Opposite side, Faber spins around off of Yaska. Anderson out of his crease, over to the far corner, where he delivers that pass past Trennan. And moving ahead is Jack Rozovic, who drives to the net. Backhand shot was turned away by Gustafsson. Not a dangerous chance, but it was held in by Robinson with some help. Svechnikov is out there onto the ice at the far half boards as Jacob Slavin's looking to keep. Can't do so right now as Minnesota does get it out. Tough clear as Brett Burns flips it back onto the Wild zone. To be scooped up by Bogosian. And a long stretch clear as it went off the skate of Burns, past Shore. And this is flipped back down by Carolina again. Gustafsson places it to the near corner. Martinook in the way. So a stall. And it's Hinostroza trying to find a partner to pass to. He'll just hold this one himself. Banked it off the far boards. And it takes another bounce back onto Hinostroza. Hinostroza right by Burns. And we have an offside called against Minnesota. So that'll bring us to the first stoppage for the ice scrapage. Yakov Trenin with the opening goal on the 5-hole past Freddie Anderson. Here we go.
All right. First and foremost, Flyers Capitals tied 1-1. Goal scorer for the Flyers was help me out here, Alec. I believe it's Matvei Michkov.
It is.
And goal scorer for the Washington Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin.
There you go. The great chase continues. He's up to 26 on the season, 879 on his career. He has 16 more to go, people. 16 more to go. Did the Lightning lead 1-0 over the Sens? That lone goal coming from who else? My guy, Jake Gensel on the power play. They have the Blue Jackets up 1-0 on Utah. Utah narrowing down their final team names to Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, and Utah Outlaws as they just swapped out Wasatch for Outlaws on their final team name selection. Per fan interest. Justin Danforth is a lone goal scorer for Columbus, but I would imagine that the final team name for Utah would be, I would believe, the Mammoth. It's a shame that copyright law or trademark laws exist in this case, because Yeti would have been cool.
Yeah. I will say it is strange that Justin Danforth is listed as a right winger, yet he only has 4 goals on the season. He must be he must be like a 3rd or 4th liner.
That's the feeling that he is primarily used as a bottom 6 forward for Columbus, and he's an effective one there. On most other occasions, but now he's basically getting seen in a limited role. Remember, he hasn't played a lot last season or so, but we have a lot of female hockey players in attendance here in Minnesota as we're back underway. AJ Malesko did play professional hockey in the past. She is the color commentator here for tonight's game as this shot goes wide off the left point. Gaudreau couldn't keep this one in. On a turnover here, Haas is still onside for Marcus Foligno. That pass only was intercepted by Jalen Chatfield as Carolina goes back the other side. From the far or half boards, The Canes moving up as this is fed for Svechnikov. Is he going to try in Michigan here? Svechnikov, he's considering it. He'll defer it as that opportunity was closed. Chatfield, he looked for a deflection, but Svechnikov was tipped wide. Foligno, hounded by Svech. Stahl also there. Faber able to help him out. Henestroza, pressured by Chatfield. Gets some help though from Foligno on this pass. And it goes rink wide, opposite side. And this is deflected in. Anderson playing this one out. That's Foligno behind him. This one deflected up. And of a sweet little dangle backwards is Sebastian Aho. He waits. And he'll just drop this one back over to Brent Burns. Or should we say Chewbacca. Seth Jarvis at the near half boards matched up with Brodin. Excellent shutdown defenseman. One of the best in the league. Aho is behind the net. He is watched by Bodie as this one-timer was slapped wide. Burns on the hole, kicked out by Gustafsson. Burns gets it back. Burns looks, waits, fires, stopped by Gustafsson again. And from the far corner retrieving, it is Bodie, just right by a Hurricane stick. Burns will flip this one forward. Bodie recollects. Aho pressuring. Over the far half boards, Carolina eyes them up. Slavin was there. Jarvis flips this down towards the Minnesota zone at the near corner. First one there is Chisholm. Gets back into the lineup, replacing John Merrill. Whipped all the way down to neutral territory. It was collected by Sean Walker. Walker opposite side for Gostisbehere. Released away 4-on-3. Gostisbehere is tied up, but is held in by Jackson Blake. Blake will look at the far half boards. Blake looks cross ice for Walker, who holds. Back for Blake. Blake fires. And that was no deflection from Kotkaniemi. Minnesota recollects, and he'll send this down the ice for an icing. So we have 11-11 to go here in this opening frame. Our referees, Trevin Hansen and Jelani Bear. Linesman James Tobias, Travis Garlitz. 14, 22, 61, 67 are their uniform numbers in their respective order. John Hines, in his second season as the Wild head coach, the .594 winning record percentage, as this is blocked away by Gustafsson on the initial try. Rossi for the far corner, looking to get this one out. Ogren was tangled up. Kotkaniemi looking to hold, and it looked like someone might get swept off their feet. Can't get a number. And now at the near corner is held in by Chatfield. Off the tie-up at the left point. Orlov. Now back for Hall as we have a penalty upcoming for Minnesota. Down deep is Carolina. Back door and stopped by Orlov. Shut down by Gustafsson. And we do have some wars on Kotkaniemi. Oh, a shove afterwards. As Jelani Bear's arm was in the air, Kotkaniemi was in the midst of somewhat of an ugly scuffle as Bogosian had enough. One of the last visorless players in the NHL. That is Bogosian getting sent off for roughing. And there was the feeling from Minnesota that one of their guys got tripped up. It's Bogosian. He didn't like that he was tripped up and no penalty was called, it seemed. And he was definitely trying to strangle Jesperi Kotkaniemi, it seemed. Shaking him back and forth. Come on, man, you're not Homer Simpson going on Bart Simpson like that. This faceoff is won by Carolina under new look power play. They shifted Mikko Rantanen, Sebastian Aho, and Jackson Blake with one another as Burns gets turned away on the one-timer off the glove of Gustafsson. He'll catch it 9 seconds in on this man advantage. And, of course, we are getting the studio update right now on Ovechkin's goal, which is number 879 on his career. 16 in goals left to pass Wayne Gretzky. Off the faceoff. And this is cleared out by Minnesota as Carolina looked to get an early shot. Despite trailing by 1, they have 10 at the first 13 shots of this game. Burns moves it up over to Jarvis, who drops it back, and now here's Blake advancing. Turnaround pass, and Burns is denied entry. 21st ranked power play in the league are the Hurricanes. As Burns resets, it's an old school power play as Burns fires around for the far side of the boards. Be recollected by Joe Eriksson-Ek. Jackson Blake tangles it up. Aho will look backwards toward Burns. He does keep it. At the left side, it's Rantanen who goes around. Burns looking. Jarvis. Now dropping it down, and here's Jarvis again. for Burns. One more time to Rantanen, who is in his comfort zone, the right circle. He and Aho play some catch. Back for Aho. Aho looks up front. Aho! That was off the cage, and Minnesota will clear it off a hit on Aho. Freddie Anderson hasn't been tested much, but he allowed out one goal. Carolina resetting. Hits are 6-1 Wild, and moving it up through the middle is Jack Roslovic. Through the right side, as Carolina looks to go back through. Kotkaniemi, who drew that Bogosian penalty, right around for Taylor Hall. Hall goes back towards the point for Gostisbehere. To the bumper. Now Hall. Right circle. Closing. Hall. Looking back. Gostisbehere. Hall opens up at the right point. Hall looks again. Hall fakes out one of the Wild players. Now Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere goes to the far corner. Gostisbehere. Time running down this power play. Over to the left circle as this pass almost missed, and it did miss. Might have went out onto the benches with 1 second left on a man advantage, but it looked like Carolina was taking too many passing chances on this man advantage and not really shooting at the net. You're supposed to shoot when you have the opening right there for you. His first unit did get some good chances, but now you have normal lines out there as Freddie Gaudreau is tossed out the faceoff dot. Marcus Johansson will fill in his place. The Hurricanes' power play is just 4.6% since the turn of the new year. They keep this in as this power play expires. 2 shots on this last power play. Robinson's behind the net. Can't dish it out towards someone as Jordan Staal looks to open up. This banked off the boards, recollected by Robinson. He is tied up by Faber. Robinson looking to get away from Faber. He's in a headlock right now. Martinook. Staal helps him out towards the right point as it's fired on towards the goal as Gustafsson was there to stop it. Staal holds it. Rebound on chance. Could not be collected by Carolina, and Minnesota does get it out, but re-entering are the Canes as it's Martinook with the right circle. Martinook in front. Off the outside the post as Middleton picks it up. Onto the far half boards. The Wild looking to get it, but it's held in by Carolina. Delayed offside against them. Breakout pass as the Wild sweep this one through. Bodie. Anderson collects it at his own trapezoid. Looking towards the far side. Avoiding trouble. Wild scoop it back up. They're in center ice again. Backtracking out to the right point. Slapped in by Bogosian. And recollecting it's Jarvis. Bodie there. Toe drag. Rossi turned away by Freddie. Over to the right point as it's Spurgeon who will hold it. Bodie is right at the trapezoid. Looking. Poked away again. And Carolina can't get it out as Brodino walks in. One-timer missed it wide. Over to the far corner as the Canes looking to clear again. And they do. It's up into the air, bouncing. Recollected by Rantanen on his stick. Far half boards, delivering it to Aho, who wants to go back to Rantanen. Two country of one another. Chatfield fires. Caught by Gustafsson, who will hold on for the stoppage with 6:55 to go. And we have the break incoming. The Canes get a power play. Get nothing out of it. But a one-timer from Matt Bodie missed wide. Had a wide open net at Anderson's left side. Back in a moment.
Well, man. Canes got a little bit of work to do.
Yep, they do. Though, in another league, we were anticipating such a trade move. The trade deadline has come and gone, but we were anticipating when Jimmy Butler was going to be traded. Well, it happened. He's now a Warrior. 5 teams were involved. The Heat got Andrew Wiggins. The Raptors sent Davion Mitchell to the Heat as part of the deal. Utah is also involved as the 5th team. Detroit gets Josh Richardson, who has been having his worst season of his career. But, he's not expected to contribute much to Detroit. However, we were anticipating when Jimmy was going to be traded, and it happened.
Yep. Man, if I had to pick a team who, who won the trade deadline right afterwards, you know exactly who I'm going to say.
Lakers?
The Lakers.
Not only. Oh, go ahead.
I can't believe. Okay. Take all the other pieces out for a sec. You basically got Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Rob Pelinka, how?
Plus, not only that, but when you're looking for a replacement center, the fact that you still have assets to trade as a result of that shows how impressed and how Rob Pelinka is impressed at the trade deadline this year. It stings to lose Dalton Connect. You have to face off win by Carolina, but landing Mark Williams is good for LA as Gustafsson makes a save. But the fact that the Lakers still had assets to trade away, that's just a gigantic fumble by Nico Harrison.
Oh, man. So, hang on. We'll discuss this more at the break because we got action going on right now.
Chatfield looking to keep it, and he does. It goes onto the opposite corner where Faber is there, but being rushed by Kokaniemi. One of his teammates helps him out. It's at the near corner now. Over the head of Chatfield, and Johansson rushes to the puck. Cross-ice pass over to the right circle. Send it for Eriksson Ek. He missed the net on the one-timer. And we have a penalty coming up here against Carolina. I believe that Carolina had to take that penalty. Otherwise, they'd be down 2-0 by now. It's a hook. And so, Jackson Blake will sit down for 2 minutes. But Eriksson Ek had a wide open net. He was hooked by Blake. And it looked like it was a smart play to make for Blake to hook Eriksson Ek. Otherwise, it would have been 2-0 Wild. Off this face-off, Carolina picks it up. They have the league's best penalty kill. Stop killing off 85.4% of their penalties. Faber is the power play quarterback. He'll be part of the third pairing for Team USA in the Four Nations face-off, being coached by Mike Sullivan. Matt Boldy for the right side. Boldy's also part of that team on Team USA. Carolina gets it away at that. So it was sticked away, but Minnesota does keep it in. Zuccarello around for the boards, going opposite side over to Boldy. At the far corner, Eriksson Ek tied up by Burns. Will defer to Boldy. Boldy will look towards the point, but defers it back over to Eriksson Ek, and now back for Boldy. Faber. He dishes one down low intended for Eriksson Ek, but Chatfield got in the way as the pass was out of reach. Rossi trying to pry this one free. It's a bouncing puck for the far half boards, and Carolina is able to clear. They're outshooting Minnesota 14-4 and getting most of the offensive chances, but Gustafsson is a brick wall in net right now. Zuccarello will turn around and drop it. Slowly make its way up is Boldy, and Minnesota is offside on the entry. Somebody was a little too jumpy trying to get the entry. Oh no. No entry that time around. Of course, we have some more headlines to discuss about NBA trade deadline. Of course, about some of the trades that went down. Not just Jimmy Butler in the recent days that led up to this. 45 seconds on the man advantage. Carolina has had few games in which they've given up multiple power play goals. Johansson goes right by through Jarvis. Johansson dishes on over to the right point. Faber on the hole, back for Johansson. Johansson cuts one in front, and that one missed the net. Anderson may have got a piece of it though. And being forced to retrieve Spurgeon, that was knocked away by Aho, who was calling for a penalty. He doesn't get one as he thought he got slashed. Freddie Gaudreau goes back in deep. Spinorama, Chisholm, across, one-timer, missed the net wide. And Carolina picks it back up. They want to go one-on-one here. Short-handed, now moving it is Robinson. Robinson in front, and Jarvis was tied up on the cross-ice pass. But it effectively runs out the rest of the man advantage, and Blake is back onto the ice. Tangle up, nothing there for Blake. No shots on that last power play. All the shot attempts were either wide or blocked. Burns has Slavin on his left, feeds it to him. 4 minutes to go. Dallas and Washington are right behind Carolina among the best best penalty kill units in the entire NHL. Second and third, right behind the top-ranked penalty kill unit of Carolina. Devin Shore, and we get a whistle as he looked to have tangled up Seth Jarvis. So, 3:52 left in the first. On to the stoppage. So as for trade deadline, well, Dennis Schroeder got rerouted to the Pistons in that Jimmy Butler deal. Well, and both Martin twins got traded. Caleb to Dallas, Cody to Phoenix. And the deal that involved Cody, Yusuf Nurkic gets sent to Charlotte, Caleb to Dallas, Quentin Grimes to Philadelphia in that sense. But the trade deadline has to be one of the wildest that we've ever had.
Yep. Not to mention, what didn't appear to get lost in the shuffle was San Antonio is making moves to supplement their I think they're calling him the alien. Their number one overall pick, Victor Wembanyama. How do you do that? Well, just go ahead and give him one of the most dynamic guards in the game, De'Aaron Fox.
And this move is not just this season, Ian. It's about beyond. Keep Fox on a longer-term deal to shape up this current core. Plus, you also keep your young assets in Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and Stefan Castle. That's a big win for the Spurs to build their future around a core between Wemby and Fox. That has got to be special.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what the Spurs. I'm sure the Spurs have plenty of cap space to sign Fox to a long-term deal.
Oh, for sure. Probably 4 or 5 years that could be considered for a long-term deal. And he can be worth up to $45.7 million on average per year. That's how I can realistically see Fox's new contract. Back for the closing portion of this first period, we already have 3 ice scrammages. And up for the middle, on the seam! Stopped by Gustin was Aho! Aho trying to keep away from Middleton, pressuring right there. On for the near quarter, Boldy is rushing into the puck. Jarvis there as well. Aho opposite side. Faber trying to disrupt. Zuccarello also there. He scoops it away, but what a stop by Gustafsson. As Minnesota re-enters, Boldy can't find anyone on the opposite side, but on the hold is Rossi. Trying to go down low for Boldy as Carolina looks to disrupt the play. Onto the point, it is Faber. Faber fires, save, rebound loose. Zuccarello got pushed off, and Carolina will clear this one to center. Rantanen sets up for Jarvis, who walks his way slowly on Faber, trying to put a spinorama on him. Jarvis in front, the shot never made it all the way through as it was blocked in front. Utah's tied it though, as it was Lawson Krause at the goal. And Minnesota will change lines. Dmitry Orlov, a free agent after this season. Orlov through the middle, now the near side. Flips it on the backhand over to the opposite quarters behind the net though. Pried free by Spurgeon. Several wild guys over at the near half boards along with several Ks, including Jalen Chatfield. Pokes at it several times. Chatfield wanting to take it away. Foligno does so for Minnesota. On the opposite wing, Jonas Brodin backhands this one deep. And at the trapezoid, Gaudreau got beat out too. And the shot attempts 26-9 in favor of Carolina. Talk about the definition, they're getting goalied. Foligno to center. And moving up for the right side is Hinostroza. Oh! He might have went up and over as this bouncing puck for Foligno was in front. It's over the net and back it out onto the ice. It's not a goal as it went over the net. How did that not go in? Hinostroza brings it back onto Carolina territory. Getting knocked down was Foligno. And how was that not a penalty against Carolina? It's beyond me. The race for the puck in the near corner won by Kotkaniemi. At the near half boards, as this is getting chopped at several times by Bogosian, Hall is also there. Hall, Chisholm pries it free. Kushnadinov through the far half boards. Slows up and then activates. His fourth line out there for Minnesota. He's been the driving force of the Wild over the last few games. Bogosian sends it deep. Anderson out of his crease. Plays it over for Walker for Kotkaniemi. Now for the near side. Hall. Down the right wing. He's playing on his off wing. That's Milton. And Hall gets decked by Faber. This puck is out of Minnesota ice. 1:10 to go as Shore finds Kushnadinov. Back for Shore. Shore shoved towards the far corner by Kotkaniemi as this one takes a bounce onto the right point. Now it's out in front, over to the left circle for Shore. Off the pad of Anderson. Middleton on the hold. 53 seconds as this skips by Walker. Onto the far corner. Faber, Middleton will hold it at the left point. Surveys. Nobody's at the near corner. Trennan goes down. And Jackson Blake will chop this one out. Robinson on the rush. Bracing himself for contact from Eriksson Ek as he gets bullied onto the boards. Rantanen with one shove. That was actually Rozovic. Yaska sets up. Can't get it on a one-time for the point. Went wide. One of the Wild players lost their stick. They get it back though. Picking it up. Over the head as Burns tried to hold this at center ice, but can't do so. 16 seconds. Down deep. And collecting this is Juha Yaska. Over to the far corner. Robinson. On a turnaround shot collected by Gustafsson. Eriksson Ek picks it up. One last rush for Minnesota. At the waiting seconds. Chopped over through the far side of the boards. Slavin wins the foot race and was knocked away from them at the end of one. Yakov Trenin, the only goal on a beautiful backhand forehand. And Minnesota almost got two more. One of which went over the net off of Anderson, in which it somehow was kept out. Vinny Hinostroza almost scored in his Minnesota debut. It's 1-0 Wild after the first period. So, on our way to the break, let's go over this trade deadline recap.
Okay, where do you want to start? Let's see. Can't really remember what got all the movements starting. At least, well, that's not true. Shoot, let's just go ahead and look at the biggest one, even though it's been covered covered so much it's practically invisible now. So yeah, Lakers got Luka Doncic.
Yep, he'll turn 26 later this month, and he has a full season on his contract left. Of course, this is the biggest one because he wasn't on any trade board. Neither was Anthony Davis. This is a trade that alters the course of a franchise. Now the Lakers they are fully prepared for life after LeBron, and getting Mark Williams for the Hornets. Essentially, you have your future course set up. There is an argument to be made that the Lakers get worse through the season, but they get better on the long term. Dallas gets better on the short term, but the biggest issue for them is the aging curve. By the time we have the next Summer Olympics, Anthony Davis will be 35 years old. That's the downside of this trade for the Mavs. His defense will be a premium value, but he'll be 35, and we're likely not going to see the same defensive production from him as in years past, Ian.
No, I don't think so. And now without Luka, I don't know if GMs really understand this or not, but business-wise, trading Luka, unless they win a title within the next couple years of trading Luka, one could argue they have lost the faith of the city already.
I mean, seriously though, how do you?
Could you imagine if the GMs back in the day, whoever they were, decided to trade away Dirk Nowitzki in his prime?
I could not imagine such a thing either. That's basically the equivalent of that. You don't do that. You keep your franchise guy no matter what. You keep him and hope and want to build a team around him. That's what the Mavs were doing last season when they got Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Everything was working fine. You got Gafford and Lively rotating at the 5. You got Washington at the 4. Then you go out and get Klay Thompson at the 3. You can even get Najee Marshall off the bench to play defense and even hit several clutch threes as well. Kyrie Irving can play both the 1 and 2. Everything has a foundation there. Why fix what isn't broken?
And, okay, to play devil's advocate, if they had gone out, if they had traded Luka, but they had gotten one of the most legendary hauls, like, for instance, okay, the Kings trade away De'Aaron Fox. Granted, the difference is he'd been talked about earlier, and he was likely going to get traded anyway. But still, they trade away De'Aaron Fox. They got a haul and a half for him, including 3 first-round picks and I think 3 second-rounders. If you had done that with Luka, if you had done that with the Luka trade and gotten 3 first-round picks, yes, the city would still be mad at you, but at the very least, you would have something to build off of.
Yeah, because if you got a haul like what the Kings did with getting Zach LaVine and all those picks, at least it would have made more sense. When you get just a single first-round pick out of this, I'm sorry. But you guys admit to yourself as arguably a worse general manager. You lost the faith of the city, and that's why people are branding Nico Harrison as a worse general manager than Jerry Jones, as insane as that sounds.
Yeah, and also, it's not even the fact that, and it's the fact, okay, you got Anthony Davis, who is aging and injury prone. You also, okay, who are the other things we got? A protected first-round pick in 2029. Fine, we'll see what happens then. Max Christie. If nothing else, you couldn't swing this to at least get Dalton Connect, who is looking to be a much better prospect than Max Christie.
Indeed.
You couldn't swing that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The Lakers wanted to give him more minutes, but they did that. But in trading him to Charlotte, he's getting more minutes and getting back in the Rookie of the Year conversation. Dallas couldn't even land Christie. His outlook isn't even at the same boat as Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, or Josh Hart, who the Lakers gave up to get Anthony Davis in the first place.
Yeah, and that whole deal, I mean, that's looking like a fleece now too, because the Pelicans have done nothing with it.
And speaking of Brandon Ingram, because he's now traded to the Raptors, the number of players that the Pelicans have left from the Anthony Davis trade is now 0.
0. Wow.
I mean, a trade in which
and what did the Pels even do with the draft capital they got? Because I know they got draft capital, but obviously it didn't go over well because there's nothing.
There's nothing for them. Not even hope. They're just trading. Yet.
I mean, Alec, listen, call it Mickey Mouse, call it whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, the Lakers still got a title out of that trade.
They did. Yet, fluky or not, what bubble or not, a ring is a ring is a ring, and I'm going to uphold each and every one of that to that standard. Call it what it is.
Yep. Oh, by the way, Ottawa just scored a goal, tied it up with the Lightning. Let's see who's the goal scorer. Michael Amadio. Wow, he's actually making noise in these last couple of games.
Former Golden Knight, Stanley Cup champion with them. So, and it's going smooth sailing for him in Ottawa. They're in a playoff spot, as outstanding as it is. Well, and on the other side, as we go to north of the 38th parallel, Washington and Philadelphia are going at it. No love lost between these two cities, dating back to that NFC Championship game between the Commanders and Eagles. Caps and Flyers tied up at 2. Connor McMichael with the Washington goal in the second period. Tyson Forrester ties it up on the power play. Which is strange to say, knowing that the Flyers are not known for scoring power play goals.
No, Actually, I wouldn't know much. I wouldn't know much about their stats. All I could tell from the record is that they're having a rather mediocre season, which, as we both know as sports fans, if you're gonna be anything, you either want to be really good or really bad. You never want to be in the middle.
Yep, that's true there. As we speak of Brandon Ingram, yeah, he gets traded to Toronto for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, Indiana's first round pick in 2026, and Toronto's second round pick this year. So it felt like Toronto is trying to do some moves in which they want to, I don't know, accelerate a rebuild, but some of these moves rather don't make a lot of sense in some regards. Yes, they got RJ Barrett. Yes, they got Emmanuel Quickly. If you're wanting to rebuild, there might be some logic in getting Barrett and Quickly and trading away Anunoby. Brandon Ingram, if you're wanting to go for a rebuilding team, this is the type of team that you do if you're a contender. Adding Ingram, who is more of a volume scorer than an efficient scorer, and doesn't generate a lot of rebounds, steals, or blocks from his vaunted length, isn't the kind of move that you want for a team that's on a rebuild. That's the problem with Toronto that I have on this trade.
I would agree, but I think you said this. It was either you or John that said this before, Alec. Toronto at the beginning of the season was just ravaged by injuries.
Right? I
Right?
said that, yes. They were ravaged by injuries left and right, but they were doing good as of late. I'm not sure which direction Toronto's heading, but what's important to them, in my opinion, is how their rebuild goes and how they develop Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick. That's how I see it. And Ochai Agbaji is an underrated piece to that core. The Toronto is okay in some regard, but they were ravaged by injury. New Orleans is headed towards the lottery. We know about this. But Olynyk can help out for the rest of the season in a core that already has. We know about Zion Williamson, but this core also includes Evis Missy at center, who's been doing good starting at center. And they need some picks back after exhausting it when they acquired DeJounte Murray. That trade didn't work out well.
But back to Toronto real quick. Here's where I think they're thinking. Okay, so we've got a bunch of our starters back. We're gonna be doing better, which means we're not gonna be in a position to get a high draft pick. So they're like, let's go ahead and just go. Pardon the expression, balls out to try and capture a play-in spot. See where we go from there. If we're lucky, we go on a little bit of a run. We reset for next season with a little bit of hope. Now we got Brandon Ingram. Let's see if he can improve. And then they just go from there.
That's how I see it for Toronto. And I think the underrated move of the deadline is DeAndre Hunter to Cleveland. That's my underrated move of the deadline. As we're looking at that, Hunter's having a great season thus far. The problem is that he's buried on the bench right behind Zachary Risacher, who has been getting starting minutes. And Hunter's been having his best season, and he was coming off the bench. He's averaging 3.4 points more per game than his previous career high. And the improvement has been coming. He's developed into a better and more aggressive three-point shooter last season, and is now pushing the pace from three-point range. Atlanta gets Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, 2 future pick swaps, and 3 second-round picks.
Jeez. Wow, that's for a guy who's not really looked at as who's a fringe starter. That's a pretty decent haul.
That is, with those second-round picks. And for as good as Hunter's played this season, he's not part of the future plans for Atlanta, as that is Risa Shea and Dyson Daniels. Trae Young's future in Atlanta is in limbo. We might have also seen the last of Quint Capella in Atlanta as Onyeka Okongwu is taking the starting center spot.
Yeah. I will say that this trade deadline was definitely the most wild I've seen since I've been watching the NBA. You know, it's not, you know, in the off season, things got wild. I mean, I remember the off season where OKC traded both Paul George and Westbrook, and that led them on the path to have the team they have now, and it also established Sam Presti as a very good chess player. Because, wow.
He's saying to all these other GMs, checkmate.
And pretty much, you could say he has fleeced every trade he has ever made. He has fleeced the other team.
Yeah, there you go. The Shea Gilgeous-Alexander trade, in which Paul George was dealt to the Clippers, stands out the most. And granted, both of our teams didn't have to do much at the deadline. Just depth moves to shore up the bench. Daniel Tice on the Thunder. Jaden Springer and Cody Zeller on the Rockets. They're not much for the Thunder and Rockets at the deadline.
Wait. Cody Zeller is still in the league?
Yeah, he's still in the league. I'm wondering how is he still here, but you know, a depth move. All right, nothing special with this trade. We'll just take what we can. And the other top 3 team in the West, the Memphis Grizzlies, made a move and they traded Marcus Smart to Washington. And in this trade, to Washington are Colby Jones, Alex Len, and a 2025 first-round pick. Memphis gets Marvin Bagley, Johnny Davis, a 2028 second-round pick, and a future second-round pick. The only player that Sacramento gets out this trade is Jake LaRavia from Memphis. But trading for Smart was a costly miss for Memphis, surprisingly. Just 19 months ago, they gave up 2 firsts and Tyus Jones to get Smart. The vision was that Smart could help replace both Jones and Dylan Brooks. But it's been a miss. You just need to trade him now, sense of Memphis' desire to create cap space for the possibility of renegotiating and extending the contract of Jaren Jackson Jr. If he doesn't make an All-NBA team and become eligible for the Supermax, the Grizzlies will be limited to offering him a starting salary. But they did well with Jackson's rookie extension. So, almost set to go in the second period. But Washington, they did get Smart, Chris Middleton, Jordan Poole, and for the moment, Malcolm Brogdon. So, what the key here for all 4 of these vets is to rebuild their value and hope that they can get traded in the next offseason. Well, as we are getting set for the second period, Jordan Martinook was so close. Sebastian Aho also was close. His shot went off the outside of the right post. And Maro Kushnudinov was the one to set up the goal for Yakov Trenin for his first goal in 7 games. First home goal of the season, as interesting as it is to sound. And some other chance that Minnesota had, they either went wide. In Eriksson Ek's instance, he was hooked. In one other case, it was stopped by Freddie Anderson, and it went over the net. Anderson's looking for a bounce back after his last outing. Trent is laughing over at the Minnesota benches. As we're on the way in the second period, Carolina in the white jerseys with the red sweatpants. Minnesota in the forest green jerseys. All for a screen it is. First goal at home for Trenton. Shots are 16-7 Carolina. Though Minnesota had the majority of chances to end off the first period. Friday Gaudreau as this takes a bounce over to the far boards. Foligno gets tied up. This puck goes out of play. And the other trade that went down is Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks for Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. It involved the Hawks and the Clippers. And the Steelers are wearing the number 18. Get some time to get used to. 24 seconds into the second period. On this time of the faceoff, to the right of Anderson is rushing to this puck is Minnesota. Faber holds it. Zuccarello goes for Middleton. Middleton's shot was blocked in front. And Middleton had trouble keeping this one in, but one of his teammates held it. Across for Boldy. Matt Boldy at the near corner. Looking. Burns on this off wing, and he's powering it. Anderson had to make a tight save in close with Boldy powering his way through. That was some creativity at its finest. And now it's 3-2 Flyers as Matvei Michkov has his second goal of this game. Utah's up 2-1 as the latest goals are thanks to Lawson Krause and Finland representative in the Four Nations face-off, Olli Mata. Matt Boldy has 14 points in his last 15 games. Representing Team USA in the Four Nations, and Spurgeon off the face-off will give and go for Johansson. Johansson, the puck exited the zone as he shot the puck. He was trying to curl and drag to try to get some more oomph on the shot. And it ended up crossing the blue line, and Minnesota was offside as a result. He has to win the Stanley Cup. Carolina is being listed as plus 650, Minnesota plus 2,000. Minnesota wins another faceoff as it's Spurgeon who blasts one into the Carolina zone. Chatfield had trouble over the far half boards as it's held in onto the trapezoid as Orlov shook off Johansson. Far side for Chatfield, set it up for Hall. Hall weaves his way by to set up a 3-on-2. Hall fires and hit the backboards. Jackson Blake on the hold as this bounces off of Brodin. Hall couldn't handle it. Eriksson could, and now it's a 3-on-2 the other way for Minnesota. Tapped forward by Johansson, and Carolina trying to swoop it away, but Johansson held it. Near quarter. Kokiniemi tangling up his man. Chatfield will scoop it up. This takes a bounce, glove down by the Wild, and opposite side for Spurgeon. Brodin again. He's been a reliable pair for so long. Taya right behind the net as Carolina wants to recollect, and they do. They turn it over off Kokiniemi. Set him over to the left circle. Eriksson is turned away by Anderson, and one of the Canes gets shoved. On the hole, the right side is Bogosian. Bogosian on the hole. Pass intercepted by Orlov. Canes trying to get it cleared. They have tired bodies on the ice. Wild hold it. All five of these guys on the Hurricanes have been out there for at least 120. Carolina ices the puck, so they'll be out there for longer. 15-9, the shots in favor of the Canes. But this pairing of Brody and Spurgeon has been a reliable one and one of the best in the business. One of the other notable pairings has since been long gone from Minnesota. But back then it used to be the days of Ryan Suter with Matt Dumba. Dumba's now with Dallas. Suter with St. Louis. Carolina wanting to clear, but the Wild hold it over the far half boards. Wild is slowed down, and Carolina clears out this time. Bogosian tried to slap it, but the Canes pick it up, and now they move it over the far side of the ice. Tailender shift. Blake had it dispossessed from him. And the Wild moved the other way. It's Kushnetdinov. Kushnetdinov to shore, and now it's Trenton, who fires this one wide, and the Canes scoop this one up. Blake on the other way. 2-on-2 as this gets dumped in over to the far corner. Chisholm had trouble with the puck. And right behind the net and taking it up forward is Minnesota. Backhanding off a shore. He is tangled up. And the Canes recollect. Jarvis gets slammed onto the near half boards by Trenton. And Trenton hounding the Carolina defense. Moving up for the far side is Rantanen. Rantanen Cohen drag. And Gustafsson got a piece of that. Jarvis on the hold. Rantanen behind for Aho. And that one went off Gustafsson with a novice stick and out of play. And Ryan Hartman, as we last saw of him, he is currently appealing his 10-game suspension as he's trying to plead his case that he is using Stutzla to try to regain his balance as he slipped up. However, it was assessed a match penalty, and the Department of Player Safety disagrees with his case. The suspension was that he intentionally drove Stutzla to the ground, letting go of his stick through his right glove, using his right glove to pile drive Stutzla to the ground, intentionally injuring him. This one dumped in off the near side and right behind the net, as this is well loose in front, right by Anderson. That was a little dangerous. Far side now, and Carolina, this could be a potential 2-on-1. And the shot goes wide. Carolina had no options on passing. Near half boards as Aho fired this one wide, and recollecting it for the Wild is Marco Rossi. Off the keep, as it's Jarvis on the hold. Aho fires it, and this will be gobbled up by the Gus Bus. Sounds corny when using this nickname outside of the NFL of Gus Edwards, but we have a penalty here as well. It's a slash against Marco Rossi. That's why he's going to the box. In Carolina, who has had a very porous power play in their last 16 games, converting just less than 5% of their chances in their last 16 games. They did some major shakeups on the man advantage. There was a slash from Rossi. Right up for the slash. Aho shot the puck. 3:50 into the second period. Carolina's trying to tie it, and Jack Rozovic, who is part of the second unit, will star on this man advantage. Second unit is out there to begin with. Rozovic, Sveshnikov, Kokiniemi, Hall, and Gostisbehere. Anderson restarted as Minnesota cleared it down. 3 shots on the first power play. 21st ranked power play for Carolina. Minnesota's the third worst penalty kill. Svechnikov ripped it wide, and this will go all the way down to Carolina's ice. Anderson will restart, and he'll give it for Ghost. We'll move it up for the right side. Rozovic for Kokiniemi. And way offside was Rozovic on the entry, as he anticipated that Kokiniemi will be ahead of him on this entry. Didn't expect that one, but nonetheless, restart right outside the zone. Panthers and Blues tied at 1. Zach Bolduc and Mackie Samoskevich, a goal apiece. We're 32 seconds deep on this man advantage. It's the top unit out there on the ice right now. And Minnesota clears this one down. The Wild could use some more penalties killed. Certainly a time to get that. As Burns feeds it up for Aho, drops it out for Jarvis, who finds Rantanen. Back for Jarvis. Jarvis tangled up at the near corner. 34-14 are the shot attempts in favor of the Canes. Right side for Blake, who drops out for Aho. Aho wants to go back for Blake and does. Blake, deep pass for Burns. Burns turns around, fires for Jarvis. One-timer! And that was smoked wide to net. Aho tangled up by Foligno. That allows the Wild to clear it down the distance. And Anderson is out of his crease. He'll give it to Brent Burns, who restarts. Set to turn 40 later this year. Dropping it out for Jarvis. Jarvis over to Aho. Aho on his backhand going to Burns. Lofts one for Blake. Blake can't find Aho. Spurgeon was there. Flipped it over to Freddie Gaudreau. And shoots it a bullet down the distance. 23 seconds left on the man advantage. And Carolina has been porous on the man advantage. Needs something desperately on this power play. Sebastian Aho over to far side. That one turned away by Eriksson Ek. And there is a loose stick onto the ice, and moving up is Freddie Gaudreau. Blasts one, is knocked out by Anderson. Not what you want on a power play if you're Carolina. To give one up at the neutral zone and have it go the other way. Yikes. Columbus ties it up 2 apiece against Utah. The latest goal from Ivan Provorov, shorthanded. 5 seconds left as the Wild are looking to kill off the rest of this penalty on Rossi. 8 shifts for Rantanen. 8:43 of ice time with 1 shot. And Rossi's out the box. Far side dumped in as Carolina 0 for 2 on the man advantage. 21st on the man advantage in the league. But one of the worst on the power play ever since the turn of the new year. Whipped inside as Gustafsson plays it out. over to Declan Chisholm. Chisholm. This one takes a bounce, and Carolina will take it back up. Martinook realizes that there was someone right in the Minnesota zone and had to wait to dump this one through. Minnesota can't get one through as Matt Bodie is denied entry. Martinook holding at the left point. Going down low for Eric Robinson. Spinning and turning at the near corner. Cut off by Zach Bogosian, who picks it up. Wolfen got through at the near half boards. Zuccarello had it knocked down, and Eric Robinson. In pursuit was Rossi going cross ice. Deflected up front by Martinook over to the far corner. Chisholm there. Robinson too as Martinook gets it back. Right point. This takes an awkward bounce and right around through the boards. Intercepted by Minnesota as they go back through the other way. Zuccarello closed off by Orlov at the near corner. Chatfield finds Hall. He gets spun in turn but keeps his composure. Hall initiates the 3-on-2. That back the other way. A shot! That went over the head of Gustafsson. And the Wild will go back the other side. 2-on-2 they hurry as Zuccarello with the fur to shoot this one down for the ice on the near side. It goes out of play. 12:41 to go in the second period. So you get some changes here. Still, it's a 1-0 lead here for the Wild in the Twin Cities. We'll be right back. The last thing of this is that Vegas is up 2-0. Goals for Nick Waugh and Shea Theodore in the second period. They're at the second intermission right now. And in the Tampa game, the Lightning have reclaimed the lead. They currently sit outside a playoff spot. But Brandon Hagel wants to do everything possible to make sure the narrative is changed. But don't look now. But the hottest team in the league at this current point in time is the Detroit Red Wings.
I've been on a couple of broadcasts with our mutual friend John Ott during those games. I'll tell you what, as a Detroit sports fan, he is having a lot of fun right now with the Red Wings getting hot at just the right time, and the Pistons playing inspired basketball.
Of course, inspired basketball and the league is better in the NBA when the Pistons are better. And also, when we speak of the Red Wings, they have won 7 straight games. That Todd McClellan is turning around his team. I wonder if you made this point earlier, but McClellan's like that Bruce Boudreau type. While I'm not sure if he's going to get the Red Wings a cup, he does get teams to a form of legitimacy.
I actually said that Todd McClellan wasn't on my list. I was saying the Red Wings should go and should think about hiring Bruce Boudreau. I didn't think McClellan was gonna be an option, but apparently he was, and it's been the best thing for the Wings.
Oh yes, back in action. Carolina trapped in their own zone as Minnesota now with some zone time here, but the Canes pick it back up at their own zone. Gostisbehere wants to clear and does. Tie up and neutral ice. Wild bring it back in. Ogren gets tangled up on his one-timer attempt. Now the defensive zone. Sean Walker looking to clear and does so. Wild scoop it back up. Canes looking to change. Can't. This is dumped back in, and Gostisbehere picks it back up one more time. Deep pass up for the middle for Taylor Hall. Hall brings it back through up to the middle. Hall at the top of the left circle. Looking around Ogren. Hall will defer for Blake. Blake looking at the far corner. Blake on his spinorama. Tangled up still. Breaks free. Blake at the slot. And this puck couldn't get onto the ice. Oh my goodness. And Jackson Blake is tangled up high, and he might have gotten high sticked.
Is a penalty being called?
And he's being tended to by the athletic training staff. I don't know if a penalty is being called here as he's being helped up as he is walking under his own skating and walking under his own power on his way to the locker room. Blake through a screen as he was battling for the puck. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Sounds bad. Mind you, I don't have a visual in front of me, so...
Well...
So what happened?
So, it's not a high stick. He got a skate cut to his face.
Oh, Jesus.
Folks. And now goes Orlov as he is entering through. No penalty being called here as Blake had 9 shifts, 11:08 of ice time. Canes keep it. Orlov in the right circle on the setup pass. And now that Carolina is down, Blake, likely we could have some stitches. He has 11 goals, tied for third most among rookies this year. Macwood Celebrini, of course, has that lead with 17. Battle for this puck. Orlov wins the foot race against Devon Shore. Bouncing up at the far half boards, Kushnedinov there. Cleared out by Robinson. At the far half boards, moving it up, it's Rozovic. Yaska. Pinned towards the wall by Middleton. Rozovic also there. Rozovic backhands one for the far corner for Burns. Deep shot kicked out by Gustafsson. Rebound is loose, and it goes over to the opposite side. But as we'll monitor the status of Blake, we hope that he is all right. It looked like the cut was onto his lip. 2-on-1 here. It's Brock Faber. Faber, Cohen drag, stopped by Anderson. That's one of his biggest saves of his night. And back the other way, here's a 2-on-1. A shot! There's another save the other way. Gustafsson and Anderson, spectacular. Minnesota wanted to get back, and Foligno will dump this one through onto the trapezoid as Anderson leads it behind. Onto the near corner. This takes a bounce up and collected at center ice by Spurgeon. Fired in off the far boards. Anderson will move it for Slavin behind the crease. Minnesota keeps it off Gaudreau. 6 in a way as Aho and Burns were there. Aho starts up. Aho off the penalty box doors for Jarvis. He takes a bounce off Spurgeon. And then once again, Carolina once again in. Mikko Rantanen dropping it off for Gostisbehere, who gets stripped of the puck. And back the other way come the Wild, with Rantanen being utilized as a defenseman. Henestroza pinned towards the wall, dispossessed the puck. Right around the boards, going over far side as Carolina moves it up 3-on-2, unless they make changes. Now it's 4-on-2. Centered up front, backhand pass! And this missed Rantanen. Rantanen holds this zone inside. And along for the wall, this goes all the way down for the ice. This went off of one of the Minnesota players, and Sean Walker was the first one back. So we're getting the update from Tampa Bay about the Brandon Hagel goal. Breakaway goals are the best. I'm not going to lie about that. Breakaway goals are the most thrilling goals that you can ever experience as a hockey fan. Off the face-off, Carolina looking to get set. They want a deflection, nothing there. And Gustafsson holds on to the puck through contact from Jordan Martinook. But the contact was after he made the save. And Mikko Rantanen had to have that one back, but he did force. So Rantanen, with his frustrations in Carolina, he missed that one wide the net. And so, it stays 1-0 Wild on the stoppage. On the break.
Just a quick update. The Blues are down 2-0 to the Florida Panthers. Armstrong, just sell whatever you can. It's time.
Well, it's 2-1 to correct you, by the way. But, sell off any key veterans or assets that you have trading away. That's the whole point. I can say the same for my Penguins because it's over for us.
Yeah, just... I've already jumped on the Detroit bandwagon. It's funny. At this point, I'm just wanting these young teams to make it to the playoffs. Detroit, Columbus, who else?
Ottawa?
Yeah, I don't know. Sens.
Yep, Sens. We could say the Flames in this discussion too, because they are holding on to a wild card spot over the Canucks.
Yeah.
The goal scorer in question for Florida is St. Louis native Matthew Tkachuk on the power play, who will be playing on Team USA. Hey, someone get Jason Tatum in one of the Boston crowds. when USA plays in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, at this point, St. Louis had an opportunity to get Matthew Tkachuk, but I don't think they wanted to give up a lot. I don't think they wanted to give up a lot. To be honest, Alec, looking back on it, I wish they had. Really did.
If Florida was willing to give up Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, two players at the time were top 25, top 50 players in the NHL. This face-off win by Minnesota coming back. And Carolina holds it, looking to tie this game up. It's loose at center point, cleared out to center, and the Canes recollect. Svechnikov up for the right side, intercepted, and moving up for the near side was Matt Zuccarello. Collected up at the far half boards, looking towards Zuccarello, set a pass in front, save, rebound is picked up by Gostisbehere, and another stop by Anderson off Zuccarello on a failed clear attempt. Svechnikov moves it up through center ice, but he overskate this puck. On for the near side, Spurgeon picks it up, goes cross sides onto the left. Minnesota holding as they go down low, inside! And that one again stopped by Anderson. Looking for a bounce back as we have tangle up at the near corner in Carolina's own zone. Jordan Staal too is tangled up. There is a broken stick at the far side of the Minnesota ice. Here's Jordan Staal, fires it, and that's stopped by Gustafsson, who stopped all 20 Carolina shots. Wild have it, and he moved this one out to center. Right around for the boards, and Burns will scoop it up. Brent Burns, deep pass through center, one-on-one as Jackson Blake back in the game. Looking to go inside. He gets hooked from behind. What's the call? He was the last man back. They're going to roll it a trip, not a penalty shot. Blake got stitches, so he's all right after getting the cut onto his face. And on the first play back, he draws a trip. A beautiful pass for Jackson Blake as he breaks free for the defense and gets tripped up. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is looking for a penalty shot. Oh, here we go. It indeed is a penalty shot. Blake was running free on a breakaway. Here we go. Jackson Blake on his first career penalty shot. What a moment this could be for him if he could tie this game up right after he got stitches, after he got a cut onto his lip. How fitting would this be for Carolina? Here he moves. Up for the far side. Blake is going to look. Moving on to the slot. He fires. Shut down by Gustafsson. Throw away the stories. And write a new one. With an ink and quill to it. Philip Gustafsson says no, sir. Poise and concentration deep as Blake wanted to make several moves, but at the last moment, he lost the handle and he's disappointed with himself after missing on that. But Carolina, they have it in the zone, tie up in front off Seth Jarvis that allows Gustafsson to scoop it up. Blake mishandled the puck at the worst moment as he was closing onto the low slot, trying to stop it. And Dave Jackson's giving a background of how this penalty shot was awarded as Brock Faber tripped up Jackson Blake as he got out front at the last moment. It's a little controversial, but Blake got by on the breakaway attempt, and that's what led to the penalty shot. Tango up at the right circle as many players going after this puck. Held in momentarily on that right point. Carolina scoops it up. Jacob Slavin backpedaling. Now lofted one to Rantanen. Almost intercepted. Jarvis fires this one through. That was Blake's 10th shift of this game. Up to 11-18 of time on ice. Eriksson Ek wants to clear. Falls down. Oh, this is going to be a penalty against the Canes. And it looked like it was Aho who tripped up Eriksson Ek, and it puts the Wild on the power play. These two teams are evenly matched on the man advantage, similar numbers. It's actually Mikko Rantanen who was called for this penalty. But he has 2 points in 5 games with Carolina after being acquired 1-for-1. Not exactly 1-for-1. Acquired for Martin Necas. Jack Drury and 2 picks. There's an opportune time for Rantanen to equip the skates off of Eriksson, who's been vital to this Minnesota top 6 unit. Matt Boldy is at the right side. Brock Faber is the power play quarterback. Eriksson is likely going to be set up at the net front or the bumper. Rossi, also part of this unit alongside Zuccarello. No shots for the Wild on the man advantage so far. They have converted 18.8% of their power play opportunities. Carolina being the top-ranked penalty-killing unit. Eriksson holding along with Boldy. Around for the opposite side, picking up a Zuccarello, who retreats this one all the way back for Boldy. Boldy silenced at the near half boards. Eriksson on the hold. Rossi right behind the net. Going over to the left side for Zuccarello. Zuccarello back for Rossi, and then back for Zuccarello at the left point. For Faber. Faber looking back for Zuccarello at the opposite point. Down low for Rossi again. Zuccarello. Does he go to Faber? He is staring his way, but it's also now staring at Rossi's way. Fires one from deep. Boldy in front! Swept away! Glorious opportunity for the Wild. They go up by 2. Eriksson on the hold. Rossi fires! Shut down by Anderson. Near corner is Boldy. Boldy Gillers went over to the point for Zuccarello. Zuccarello wraparound pass over to Boldy. Now for Zuccarello, far half boards. Minnesota spent its entire power play into Carolina's zone. They're exhausting this penalty kill. Boldy fires from deep. Redirection! And that one went wide. Near half boards, Faber tangled up as he was trying to hold it. Eriksson cross corner for Rossi on this hold. And on the race up to the left point, Dmitry Orlov won it, beating out Boldy of Minnesota. 30 seconds left on this penalty kill as Chatfield clears it all the way down. The Gus bus setting up Faber. 14 shots for Minnesota to Carolina's 22. Gustafsson stopped all 22 shots. It took 15 more minutes for Gustafsson to stop all 21 Carolina shots in the first meeting. Johansson for the far side. Freddie Gaudreau there. Carolina gets to the puck and they want to clear it down. Declan Chisholm on a last-ditch effort to try to get a power play goal. They won't. Freddie Gaudreau sets up for Liam Ogren. Gaudreau. Spurgeon. And his shot stopped by Anderson as he's trying to get back to his crease, and he does. Far half boards picked up by Rantanen as he's back onto the ice. He falls down and Seth Jarvis will be the first to the puck, nullifying the icing. Jarvis turns around, waits for help. Pressure by Chisholm at the far corner. Double team. And this pass gets out for Gostisbehere. Slaps one in deep. And missed the net entirely. Walker on the hold. Gostisbehere tries again. Blocked in front by Kuznetsov. Rantanen tangled up by Chisholm. Onto the far half boards. Carolina holds it. Right point. Then cross point from Walker to Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere shut down. This puck comes back to center ice for Jarvis. Seth Jarvis banked off the far half boards over to Aho. Who center up back for Jarvis. Turned away. The Wild moved this one up. And here comes a 2-on-1. Right in front, here's Johansson. Shut down by Anderson. Needed that one. Goaltending has been on point here in the second period. Carolina goes back up. Robinson, cross ice, one-timer. And that was shut down again. And this pass goes absolutely nowhere. Intended for Shane Gostisbehere, who was at the wrong place at the wrong time. 3:55 to go in the second period as Minnesota wants to get back up onto Carolina territory, and they do. Far outboards, they're set up behind the net. The Wild with this. It's Bogosian's shot lofted wide. One-timer for the point. Stopped by Anderson. Scooped up by Juha Jaska, and Gostisbehere tangled up, and now the Wild with it in front. Gaudreau can't finish that one as he got tied up and lost it. Gaudreau slips. Jarvis sends it in deep. Gustafsson out of his crease to play. For the far half boards, Carolina keeps at the right point. It ends up at the left circle. Wild are the first to it. Bogosian can't find his men. 4 Hurricanes in the vicinity, including Chatfield, who was the first to the puck. A race for it over the far half boards as Carolina moves up. This shot missed the net entirely, but it's held by Orlov. Batted down off a Wild player. Brodin with the far half boards as this is once again kept in by Carolina. Orlov with the near half boards. Yakov Trenin couldn't pick this one up less than 3 minutes ago. Jackson Blake overskate the puck on the pass from Orlov, and Zuccarello wants to get it back for Minnesota and does. Minnesota on this foot race on the lob clear. Chatfield wins the foot race, not enough for an icing. Backhands it over to the near half boards, over to Hall. Taylor Hall slides it by on to Gustafsson, who decks it away over to Faber. Middleton on the opposite side. Former San Jose Shark gets it up for Hinostroza. Tic-tac-toe, he gets the return feed back from Marcus Foligno as it's batted on deep. And Freddie Anderson will grab a hold of it, and we have a commotion right in front of Freddie with 2:18 to go in the second period. Jackson Blake had a chance to tie this game up on a penalty shot. Well, you can throw that away. It's still 1-0 Wild. Blake was frustrated with himself after missing that penalty shot. So on the break, the scoring changes. In the meantime here in the NHL, so there's a lot of action in that NBA trade deadline, which has been getting the most excitement at any point this NBA season. The Luka Doncic trade started it all. And Dallas is up 87-70 on the Boston Celtics as we speak. This year, as we look at if Dallas is debuting Anthony Davis, they are not. But Klay Thompson has 25 points in this match. Kyrie Irving with 11. And Klay is shooting 11 of 17 total, 3 of 6 from free. Spencer Dinwiddie was 17 off the bench. That's been the difference here so far alongside Klay's points. And now for Boston, 18 for Jaylen Brown, 17 for KP, 13 each from Derek White and Jason Tatum. So Boston's down big, but they won't be impacted much. You also have some MLB news to break out. One from Queens and the other from Dodgerland. Mikko Rantanen has been snake bit so far. 2 points, 1 crossbar hit, and 2 posts hit during his time with the Canes. 1 goal scored so far. He can't turn it around, and he is a pending free agent, but he is frustrated with himself. He's visibly upset, slamming the door on his way to the bench. 11 shifts, 2 shots on 11:15 of ice time as Trevor Hansen discussing with the Canes bench. 2:19 to play in this period. Faceoff is to the right of Freddie with the Wild winning it. Faber from Middleton. Faber moves right by Svechnikov. Faber cut away by Svech. And not much else for there as the Canes move back up with it. 4-on-2 the other way. They flip it over to the far corner. And it's Martinook winning the race against Middleton. Bouncing puck back over to the right point as it's Burns on the hold. Right around for the boards. And this deflects up out of play. So some other games that we're going to be looking at. The Avalanche and Flames are to play next. Maple Leafs and Kraken being part of the late showdown. Canucks and Sharks at 10:30. Carolina outshooting Minnesota 25-17. And Eric Tolsky watching from upstairs about constructing the best possible roster for Carolina. Mikko Rantanen on retained salary. He's asking for at least $14 million a year on his next contract. Nobody expected him to get traded. He has 2 shots already. His line's out there onto the ice. Off the faceoff, Gustafsson sticks it down. As Minnesota can't get it out for the moment, but now moving up with it is Freddie Gaudreau as he flips it over to the near corner. First one back is Chatfield. Has it bouncing off the near half boards. Rantanen off the give and go for Aho. Flip back up as Minnesota earned them away. 21-15, the shots on goal in favor of Carolina here in the second period. Actually, his shot attempts as Aho sends this down the ice. With the far half boards out the far corner. As the Canes scoop it up onto left point. Orlov blasts it. This takes a block off one of his players. Friendly fire. That was Seth Jarvis, who got stung and is headed to the bench. Or actually Sebastian Aho. And a whistle is blown. As a concern, it's now on Aho as he got winded taking the friendly fire from Orlov. The pass was to the left point. Aho, he wanted to get in position to deflect the puck, but inadvertently blocks the shot. Not what Orlov wanted in mind. Ouch. You hate seeing friendly fire like this. Face-off won by Carolina. They send this down. Aho 6 of 11 on face-offs in this game, 13 shifts. We representing Finland in the Four Nations face-off. Picked up by Gostisbehere. Moving around over to the near half boards for Svechnikov. Bouncing puck. And Carolina gets this in deep onto the near corner. Brodin, the first one there. Martinook. Minnesota gets it away from Jordan Staal. And this gets back up all the way to Carolina ice with 42. With the far side. Up through center now. Waving its way in is, I believe, is, can't get a number. And now over to the far side. The shot went wide. And Carolina will go full-scale changes here the entire way. 25 seconds. The Wild looking to counter here. Jackson Blake is back. Blake will scoop it up for the near corner. Uses the boards to dump this, but inadvertently ices it. 15.6 seconds to go in the second period. As the Athletic traders were looking at Aho. Got stung at the shot block. Tuesday will be to start the Four Nations face-off. Don't forget, this weekend it will be Super Bowl weekend. Saturday I'll have a Super Bowl trivia on the revival of the Hot Box. On the face-off, Minnesota has it down low for Matt Bodie. Bodie will look at the near corner. Bodie tangled up by Gostisbehere with 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Bodie looking for one last shot. He's likely not going to get it. Every lane was closed off to end off that second period, and it left Bodie with no choice but to run out the rest of the clock. It's still 1-0 Wild, and they're one of 3 undefeated teams who are leading after 2 periods, alongside Seattle and Toronto. A perfect 20-0-0. No overtime losses, no regulation losses. So chances are, in any case, Minnesota could hold on to this one. So we head on to the second intermission. We take you around the leagues for what is the recent updates. And as I mentioned about the MLB, the first news takes us to Queens, where it's Pete Alonso, who signed a 2-year deal after being linked to the Blue Jays in free agency. He signed a 2-year deal, $54 million total, to return to the Mets to be their first baseman. 226 home runs since his debut in 2019, second in the major leagues, behind the 232 from Aaron Judge. He heads back to Queens to join a lineup that added Juan Soto. The Mets consider pivoting away from Alonso after discussions reached an impasse. Talks were brought back on a market that did not value him similarly to the long-term deal that he was looking at the outset of free agency. Do note that this market also does not favor Alex Bregman, who is looking for a 6 or 7 year deal. And he's finding no suitors for a long-term deal. So to make it this deal, I feel that this is the move that makes the most sense for Pete Alonso. I don't know what your thoughts are, Ian, about Alonso's deal, but I think it's the most sense. I don't know if you're there. So long-term deal never came through, which left him with limited choices. 2 of which were the Giants and the Blue Jays. But coming back to the Mets was always the likeliest possibility, even with Steve Cohen publicly expressing frustration with the trajectory of negotiations. It may capable of special moments. When the Mets faced elimination, throwing 2-0 in the 9th inning, the wild card series against Milwaukee, he got a changeup from Devin Williams to the opposite field for a 3-run home run, leading to the Mets to a series against the Phillies. Alonso homered twice against the Phillies and once more in a 6-game NLCS loss to the eventual World Series champion Dodgers. So postseason track record, really good. 278, 429, 574, and 70 plate appearances. Add to the allure for the Mets. And now lead off Francisco Lindor and Bat Soto, Alonso, and the emerging star Mark Vientos in the 2-3-4. And this deep roster includes the likes of Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, Tyrone Taylor, Francisco Alvarez, Jeff McNeil, Ronnie Mauricio, Luis Angel Acuna, Brett Beatty, and Jesse Winker. Resigns a free agent. And Jose Siri, who was acquired in a trade with the Rays. The Mets also loaded up the pitching staff with Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, Quay Holmes, and Griffin Canning for the starting rotation, bolstering the bullpen with A.J. Minter and bringing back Ryan Stanek. So that is what's the news from Queens. Tommy Pham is going to Pittsburgh on a one-year deal worth $4 million as well. He's joining his 10th different team in his 12th season of his career, splitting time with the White Sox, Cardinals, and Royals last season, batting .248 with 9 home runs. A career .773, OPS and 139 home runs. It's a purely depth move, nonetheless. He's been on teams that reached the postseason 5 times over the course of his career in the last 2 seasons. First with Arizona, and then Kansas City. Found a home late in the offseason, but still earlier than last winter, signing a minor league deal with the White Sox in April. Found a home with Kansas City, their first postseason appearance in 9 years. For the Royals, with the likes of Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez on the bats. Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo on the mound. And Pham adds more depth to an outfield, including Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen. At the infield, O'Neill Cruz, Ke'Bryan Hayes. So, that's what we know about recent signings. As it's 3-0 Vegas in their bout with the Devils. Jack Eichel finding the back of the net in the third period. The Devils, they've been on a slight downturn. The bad news of Jacob Markstrom's injury seeming to loom large in the wake of this downturn. So, elsewhere throughout the NBA, as we look at the score lines, just 3 games underway. It is 71-66 Rockets at halftime over the Timberwolves. And minimal trade additions for Houston. Jeff Green still here. Fred VanVleet remains out and is considered week to week with a right ankle sprain. Jalen Green has 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Amen Thompson with 11 points. Tari Eason sliding into the starting 5. Thompson sliding in at point guard. Dylan Brooks with 10 points. Alperen Sengun, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And Jock Landale, the backup center, with 10 points. Wondering what is going on with Steven Adams in this regard. Where Minnesota's 21 points for Ant-Man. 21 with 3 assists, 2 rebounds. 11 points for Mike Conley. And 11 for Jalen Clark. With 1 assist, 3 of 4 shooting. 2 of 3 on 3 E-pointers. Conley's 3 for 3 from 3. Rudy Gobert with 6 rebounds and 9 points. Naz Reid slid into the starting lineup. He has 7 points with 6 rebounds. And Jaden McDaniels with 4 rebounds, one of the best defenders in the league. Dallas leads 102-83. Coming to the final moments of the third quarter, Klay Thompson's been on a tear. I don't know if Twitter's having problems. Well, there goes that. But now as we are in the second intermission report, Klay Thompson with 25. But yeah, no, Twitter's not having problems. So, Ian just, as that says, wishing Ian All right. So 25 points for Klay Thompson, 20 for Spencer Dinwiddie, 15 each for Dante Exum and Najee Marshall, 11 for Kyrie Irving, 8 for Daniel Gafford, 13 rebounds, 4 assists. Jaylen Brown, 23 points, 17 each for Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis. Derek White with 13 points. As Boston trails by 21 points. And Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ipe Mizuhara, was sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison for stealing $17 million from Ohtani to repay gambling debts. So, the U.S. District Judge John W. Holcomb gave Ohtani's former interpreter a 57-month sentence and 3 years of supervised release in order to pay nearly $17 million in restitution to Ohtani and $1.1 million to the IRS. And Mizuhara was ordered to surrender to authorities and begin serving his sentence by March. So Holcomb said upon issuing the sentence, the magnitude of the theft, $17 million, in my view, is shockingly high. Holcomb said that most people don't make that much money in their lifetime. And Ohtani's attorneys and spokesperson did not respond to ESPN's request for comment. So Ohtani fired Mizuhara in March after the investigation revealed that he had sent millions of wire transfers from Ohtani's account to an illegal bookmaker. Pled guilty to bank fraud and filing a false tax return in June, admitting he placed about 19,000 bets with the bookie over a 2-year period and accumulated over $40 million in debt. So after the hearing, outside the courthouse, so McNally said outside the courthouse that Ohtani is the victim in this case. So that is what was said here. So Joseph McNally, he said, quote, Mr. Mizuhara had a unique position of trust that gave him power, brought him fame, and paid him well. Unfortunately, he exploited his dream job to steal millions of dollars from his friend and confidant. It's a sad tale of an American success story gone wrong. So wrong that Mr. Mizuhara will be spending years inside a prison cell. So that was a sad case. So it was a sad case about fame gone wrong in one case. So Assistant U.S. Attorney Jeff Mitchell told the court that when Mizuhara began stealing from Ohtani, Japanese superstar earned $250,000 with the Angels. So Mizuhara stole almost half of everything that Ohtani made with the Angels. Oh, said Mitchell. So this is the developing story right now about the sentencing of Ohtani's former interpreter to jail for theft. So it's tied up at 3, by the way, on a lighter topic, between the Caps and the Flyers. 3-3 in the third period, as the Caps have knotted it even. Lars Eller with his 10th of the year. Taylor Radish with the assist. His 15th assist of the season. The Blues have tied up 2 apiece against the Panthers. It's goal from Oscar Sundqvist on the power play. Robert Thomas and Cam Fowler with the assist. Calgary on the board first against Colorado. Jonathan Huberdeau scoring his 21st of the season. Recently making a trade, Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost exchanged for Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Pelletier, and picks. As Huberdeau running a bounce back in some way, shape, or form with the Flames this season. He is up to 39 points on 53 games. So the per game basis is getting up there in his second year under Ryan Huska. So to calculate that out, even though he's not back to the Florida Panthers pace, when you add this up, he is averaging nearly 3/4 of a point per game, which compared to last season, which he had 52 points in 81 games, that was an average of 64 attempts, so 0.64 points per game, and 55 points in 79 games, nearly 0.7 points per game. So it's sort of an improvement, but not much in terms of that. You remember, he had the biggest point fall off from one season to the next, 60 points from 115 in 2022 to 55 in 2023. So we're taking a look at the other games around as Noah Hannafin gets a deflection goal up front from Jack Eichel. 5:55 to go in the third period. As Eichel, he finds one at the back of the net on Jake Allen. Alex Ovechkin fighting the back of the net against Washington. It was the first of 3 tying goals between these two. 2 lead changes between the two teams. On a 2-on-1 approaching, there was a trailer opportunity for a one-timer right in front off a feed pass in front. And that was beautiful. But Washington answers back on a curl drag goal by Lars Eller to knot it up at 3 apiece. So Utah and Columbus still underway. It is 2-2 over at the capital of Ohio. As Utah, who are rumored to get the team named the Mammoth, banquet on the far out boards. And then a late shot from Ivan Provorov. A shorthanded goal squeaks its way by, and it's tied up at 2. Olli Mata and Ivan Provorov, 2 defensemen, named the recent goals for both teams. One-timer that was deflected up front by Matthew Tkachuk, but it's tied up at 2 apiece as Oscar Sundqvist evened it up in that regard. When we come back, it's the third period between the Hurricanes and the Wild. Minnesota leads 1-0, looking to get their 21st win when leading after 2 periods this season and staying undefeated as well. We'll be right back in a moment. On to the third period. Carolina trailed by 1 goal. but they have been outshooting Minnesota for most of tonight. AJ Malesko being a U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer, having played professional hockey herself in the past. And Minnesota, as we look at them, they've had a lot of chances and the better of them in the second period. In the first period, they had the more high-quality chances. Matt Boldy driving towards the net on one occasion. And in Minnesota on the whole for the right side, the return feed didn't materialize all the way. But as they turn over one puck, a setup over to the slot was turned away by Freddie Anderson. Marcus Johansson also turned away by Anderson in that second period too. Matt Boldy and his liner on the bench to start this third period. And they need a win in the worst way possible, knowing that Kirill Kaprizov is out for at least a month retroactive to his injury. On the way here for the third. And Minnesota looking to pick up this puck. And the force green of Carolina moving up. His shot is blocked. The rebound is loose over to slot. Kicked out by Marcus Foligno as he forces this one out. Puck is up. And it goes right back down. It was touch of a high stick. Minnesota 20-0 leading after two periods. One of three undefeated teams alongside Seattle and Toronto. Offensive zone time is greatly favored Carolina as well. But nothing much out of that in terms of high danger chances. Faceoff is just outside the Wild zone, with Freddie Gaudreau centering the third line for Minnesota. Brock Faber's defensive pair in there too. Both Star on the faceoff as Jordan Martinook will take Jordan Stahl's place. Stahl was a little jumpy there as the puck was not dropped. Now it is. As we get back underway, Middleton and Faber play some catch as Svechnikov was in deep. With the far side, got to spare. Whack on the puck, swinging a miss. And it's moved up for Stahl at the far half boards. Stahl will look. Finding Svechnikov off the side of the cage. Svechnikov going to go back at it. Hennis throws it out of the way. And here's a 2-on-1 materializing here the other direction. Here comes on the right side. The shot's shut down by Anderson. Foligno driving it back left point for Brodin. Opposite point as Spurgeon fires one off the post. And Anderson has to jump onto it. Where's the puck? The Wild think they scored. They're going to have to take a look at this. They're celebrating. They believe this is at the back of the net. Foligno leads the line. The question is, was the whistle blown before the puck crossed the goal line? The officials huddle up to have a conversation about when the whistle was blown. We'll have to take a live replay about, well, the whistle may have been blown after the puck crossed the goal line as it hit the post, as Anderson may have been late to reacting to this puck. So the call on the ice before, so the puck crossed the goal line before the whistle was blown. However, officials are reconvened together to review this together. It seemed we have a development here. This puck, we might have a goal, or do we? Because the officials are reviewing one play to determine where the puck crossed the goal line upon the whistle being blown before we're getting official word for the officials as we're having a discussion along all of them. We have the official call from Trevor Hansen. It's a goal! Marcus Foligno was the last one to touch the puck as it crossed the goal line right through all the way. And after much deliberation, it is 2-0. It hit the right post before it falls onto Anderson. Had trouble with the puck, trying to control this one. And it slips right by him. Foligno pokes it through right underneath Anderson. And it trickles through for the goal.
The Carolina Hurricanes might get goalie tonight.
It might be so Minnesota got shut out in back-to-back games. Carolina, they don't score. They're in line to get shut out in back-to-back games and lose their first rate. Brent Burns recollects it. Yet 25-19 the official shots in favor of the Canes. And as you pointed out, goalied. This is the definition of getting goalied. Rantanen ran into one of the Wild defenders, walking along with his Burns. Centering pass onto the slot. It takes a bounce or two right up as Rantanen gets stick lifted. Jarvis on the hold at the near corner. Spurgeon ties him up right through as Gustafsson can't hold it and Slavin fires. This takes a block and it goes out of play. And we do have some awards being handed out in the meantime. That is the NFL Awards Show. Jaden Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Assistant Coach of the Year goes to Ben Johnson. Defensive Player of the Year to Pat Surtain. Well deserved for each one of these three. And the recent one, Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon Barkley.
Yep. Saw that one coming.
Yep, it was clear as day as to who it was going to be. Though an argument could be made that last year's MVP should have went to Christian McCaffrey. So we're tracking along the NFL awards. Vinny and Estroza. So they have instead switched the goal to Vinny Hinostroza. In his Wild debut, he is credited for the goal. He was seemingly the last one to touch the puck before it completely crossed the goal line. It's the time that Foligno touched it. It was right by him. And so it went right by as he have Ian on board. Oh, so, welp. There's a glitch in the Matrix. It seems no shade here as we do have the other game over between the Flames and the Avalanche. That is John Ott and Cooper Hopkins. For that game, if you want to listen along to them, they have to call for that one. Down low, it is Dmitry Orlov pitting Joe Eriksson right behind the net. And Jackson Blake picks it up. Hold here by Ogren, who is perennially on this Wild lineup. Ogren tied up at the near quarter. Eriksson is there as well. Kotkaniemi trying to pry it loose and is still in Carolina ice. Minnesota's had the majority of chances since the end of the first period. And now for the far half boards, moving it up is Carolina as they go behind Gustafsson crease. Burns holds this in. Left point over to Jacob Slavin. Gustafsson makes the initial save. Kushnedinov picks it up. Stutter step around as Carolina goes with full-scale changes. Kushnedinov banks it off the backboards to Brock Faber, rather Jared Spurgeon, to Middleton. Middleton skies this one up. It takes a bounce off the far half boards. So no icing there. On the hold is Devin Shore. Far corner. Brent Burns couldn't keep this one for Carolina, but the Canes have it. 15th NHL season for Taylor Hall. Hart Trophy winner 2018. A bounce with the far half board, scooped up by Yakov Trenin. Opposite side, and moving it up for the near side is Devin Shore. Shore falls down. Minnesota is 23-1-1 this season when they lead by 2 goals at any point. They are in good position to win thanks to their defensive structure, despite the numerous injuries that they have went through, and John Hines' teams have an infamous history of having injuries. Middleton, what a nice sweep. Middleton drops it back over to Shore, who gets turned away by Freddie Anderson. And the latest award, we thought this award was going to be won by Sam Darnold for Comeback Player of the Year. Instead, it goes to Joe Burrow, a season removed after suffering a torn ACL. He wins Comeback Player of the Year. I feel this should be honestly split into 2 different categories. Comeback Player of the Year, would it be coming back from injuries or personal matters, and then Breakout Player of the Year, who have breakout seasons, which in this matter, it should be won by Sam Darnold in the same way that Geno Smith won Comeback Player of the Year. Minnesota will get this back up for Anderson as he plays it behind his crease. The Canes get this one through. Bounces onto Gustafsson, who will play it out over the far half boards. Canes looking for a goal. They've had trouble against the Gus Bus. And on for Jalen Chatfield at the near corner, watched by Freddie Gaudreau. Svechnikov through the far side. Taps it backwards, intercepted, And the Wild will move it up for the near side. Hinostroza off the far boards as it's scooped up for Chatfield for the Canes. Moved up for the ice for the far side. And this one goes out of play. No deflection. Does this look like the way of game? It seems to... I don't know where this was set through, whether it be the neutral zone or the defensive zone, but a lucky fan is going to get this puck. The officials deliberate. No penalty. So Ian, should we split the Comeback Player of the Year award to two categories? One for coming back from injuries or personal matter, and the other for breakout players like Sam Darnold this year.
I would be intrigued. I'd be intrigued to have that happen. It's not a horrible idea. It's interesting. Sure, why not?
Yes, because in this case, Comeback Player of the Year would go to Joe Burrow in this sense, given he came back from a torn ACL. Sam Darnold will be the breakout player, given that he's been on a bad Jets team, a bad Panthers team, was the backup to the 49ers, and now broke out in his first year with Kevin O'Connell as his coach. Dumped in by Carolina's Faber sticked it away. On the far half board, scooped up by Minnesota, and around towards the far side of the ice as Anderson scoops it up. Wrap around right over to the right side for Sean Walker, the former Philadelphia Flyer, and up for the ice as Carolina sends this deep. Kokiniemi could not get there as he was closed off. Liam Ogren with this, one of the bright prospects for the Wild. Declan Chisholm for Zach Bogosian. Intercepted by Carolina as they look to regain composure off the near side of the ice. Hall fires, stopped by Gustafsson, kicked out to the near corner, and then scooped up at the opposite side by Blake, who taps it backwards for Ghost. Right by Kokiniemi, Blake on the hustle. Watched by Eriksson Ek, tangled up by Chisholm. Eriksson Ek there. This goes back over to the point for Gostisbehere, who fires this one wide. Held in by Sean Walker onto the opposite side. Picked up by Gostisbehere, who's tied up. Blake also there. Now a 2-on-1. Unless Hull hustles back. Here they come. The shot to stop by Anderson. And it exits out of play. Taylor Hall was hustling back on the fence. And it's 2-0 thanks to a wild bounce pass. Freddie Anderson. That may have went by Marcus Foligno. Vinny Hinostroza credit for the goal. We'll be right back. First goal of the season for Hinostroza, by the way. What about?
I do want to talk about one matchup that's happening later tonight between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Seattle Kraken. Now, you're not on Vinny broadcast with myself and John at the same time, Alex, so you wouldn't know this, but we each have a pick for the most fraudulent team in the NHL right now. John's pick is the Washington Capitals. Recently, there has been some evidence to support that. My pick for the most fraudulent team in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And there is a lot of evidence to suggest that.
Even for despite the Maple Leafs and their gritty ways with Craig Berube, Washington being a fraudulent team really catches me by surprise because I thought they were a breakout team. If you want my pick for most fraudulent team in the NHL, to me it's a toss-up between the Minnesota Wild and the New Jersey Devils. And I know this sounds strange knowing that the Wild are up in this game, but in the time that Kirill Kaprizov is out, they've been a so-so team. Kaprizov got them to that 26-4 start. Ever since they've been alternating between wins and losses. They've been very hot and cold without Kaprizov. Not much is that's been the main thing about them because Kaprizov has been their face of the franchise. Still is right now. And without him, there's been a clear hole. New Jersey, young, inexperienced, and I think they'll get some more action here. As we're back underway, down deep, here is Jonas Brodin gets twisted and turned as Carolina looks to get it back. Brodin keeps this away from the approaching Jordan Martinook. Flip down the ice, but it'll be iced. Dylan Chatfield touches up, and with New Jersey, they started out nice. However, they've hit a roadblock. That roadblock was Jacob Markstrom's injury. They're more well-rounded than not, but they still need some work, in my opinion, from how I see things. The Lightning are up 3-1. The Capitals up 4-3 as they're singing along to Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver here at St. Paul. Chatfield off the faceoff, give and go over to the right circle. Hand off over to the right side, didn't go there. At the near corner, it's a tie-up. Now it's scooped up by Carolina. Jarvis taken away by Marcus Foligno, and now 1-on-1 is Hinostroza. Hinostroza, Orlov blocked his progress. Hits her 17-6 Minnesota, and Minnesota being the more physical team is clear and evident. Playing that hard-nosed hockey. Going down is one to Wild. That caused that offside to pop up. 13:04 left to go in the third period is Marc-Andre Fleury, the 40-year-old who is in his final season in the NHL, is going out nicely. He got a standing ovation at Montreal, his hometown city. He's born at Sorel-Tracy, Quebec. I would imagine he grew up a Canadiens fan, idolizing Patrick Roy. So now, off this faceoff, Minnesota gets this deep. And when it's all said and done, I would imagine that Fleury would sign a one-day contract to retire with the Penguins. Turnover here as Boldy fires wide, the rebound. Couldn't get it onto the net from Rossi. Boldy keeps this in. Onto the near half boards, it's Middleton. On the hole from Zuccarello. At the right side, right circle. A bounce onto the trapezoid. Scooped up by Carolina on the near corner after a poke check. Kotkaniemi. Pass too far for Blake. It's a foot race. And this is won by 100th of a second by Middleton. I know I'm using 100th of a second. That's usually used in NASCAR and Formula 1. And I'm saying this because we already had the cookout clash at Bowman Gray this past Sunday. A race in which Chase Elliott dominated and led for 172 of the 200 laps in the quarter-mile madhouse. It's an oval where bumping has been very prevalent. And it throws of a goal, 5 shot attempts, and 3 shots on goal. Carolina back the other way to the slot. It's Blake, backhander. And that one missed. He thought he was snake bit earlier as he missed that penalty shot. Canes keep it. Centering pass is knocked away. Onto the near corner. Scoped up by Carolina. Wraparound did not go by as Trenton was in the way. Kotkaniemi, bouncer, over to the left point. Held inside, back for Hall. Taylor Hall looks at the left half boards. Now a give and go. Centering up for Sean Walker. Stopped by Gustafsson off the pad. Walker gets this back. He goes for Kotkaniemi. Kotkaniemi holds it. Now goes to the bottom right circle for Svechnikov. Turned away and tight by Gustafsson. Holds it in deep for the Ghost. Now over to Svechnikov. Give and go for Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere twirls. Feeds. At the slot. Fires. Hit the bar. Svechnikov. Now on for Sean Walker. Walker to the high slot. Fires. Blocked in front. Rebound. Turn around. Kotkaniemi. Another save by Gustafsson. Kotkaniemi scoops it back up. Tired Wild players on the ice right now. Here's Rantanen. Who quotes it? Rantanen. Down low. Rantanen sets up. Fires. Stopped by Gustafsson again. Rantanen. He'll look for Gostisbehere. Now it's Walker. Oh, fires. Rebound in front. Onto the near corner. Rantanen fends off Chisholm. Rantanen fighting for this loose puck. Still was free. Rantanen trying to pick it up. Opposite. One-timer in front. Knocked away. Svechnikov still out there onto the ice. And still it's held in. A mishandle by Gostisbehere. And that ends the zone time. What chaos here. Rantanen brings it back. Cross ice. A shot. And Gustafsson there again. Gostisbehere. One more time. Rantanen. Deep shot was blocked off by Johansson. That's an ill-advised shot. Up and over goes Johansson. That was Rantanen. Who'll get called for a second penalty. And he is trying to plead his case, saying that he did not trip Marcus Johansson, and he's furious going to the box.
Oh my God. Alex, what is it gonna take? Gustafsson decided tonight would be his legacy game.
Of course, this is what you can say it's a Philip Gustafsson legacy game. He had his first look. He had his first exposure to playoff action in Game 1, double overtime in their first round series against the Dallas Stars in 2023. Which he was one of the big heroes for Minnesota. So Minnesota on the power play as Rantanen, he initially poked away the puck from Marcus Johansson, but inadvertently clipped the skate of Johansson. Third power play for Minnesota. 31-21, the shots in favor of Carolina. Still looking for their first goal. Bodie for Zuccarello off the near half boards. Looking to center. Can't find one for Bodie. Will go to the right point for Joe Eriksson. Manages to keep this one in. Rossi at the far half boards. Race for the puck. And Zuccarello delivers this one out. Zuccarello watched by Martinuk. Matt Zuccarello through the far half boards. Cut away. Still holding at the right point. Canes intercept the pass. And they're going one-on-one the other side. For the far side. And that shot was wide. And it goes out of play. 1:08 to go. On the man advantage for Minnesota. And we do have something on the Alex Ovechkin front. So now it's down. Well, actually, it's not on the Alex Ovechkin front. Well, it is Jacob Chikrin who has the winning goal for Washington. 4-3, Caps win.
Yep. And right now, Utah and Columbus are in OT. Both teams have had their chances to score the winning goal in OT. No one has broken through yet. It was scoreless in the third. It's currently scoreless in OT. This will probably go to a shootout.
Off the middle, Carolina trying to cut back. Seth Jarvis holding on to it. Another save by Philip Gustafsson, as it looked like Jarvis had daylight on the far side of the cage. Now it's Marcus Johansson, the former Washington Capital. Declan Chisholm will drop it for Freddie Gaudreau. Down deep is Johansson. Johansson plays at the far corner for Gaudreau. Now relayed to Johnny. Rest in peace. Jared Spurgeon for Declan Chisholm. Down low for Johansson, on for Freddie Gaudreau. At the right point, Spurgeon for Chisholm. Chisholm fires from deep, off the post, and Anderson down, picked up by Johansson. He's trying to return it back for Chisholm. And it's cleared out by Carolina. They wanted to get some goals here, but no goals materialize on the penalty kill for Carolina. Jared Spurgeon, the captain. Minnesota one shot on their last power play, 0 for 3 tonight, 24th ranked, as Brent Burns scoops it up. Burns playing keep away as the Canes send us down the ice, and they can get their changes. Gustafsson is 32 of 32 so far in this game. So far, it's a legacy game, as you will. Icing here against Minnesota, but the way that Gustafsson is going, it's been all smiles on the Minnesota bench. And Tampa Bay has just defeated Ottawa 5-1. The last goals come from Eric Chernak and Mitchell Chaffee. Chernak has scored his first goal this season. Chaffee is 10th. New Jersey gets one on Vegas, but that's all they can muster. Andre Palat on the power play as Gostisbehere fires wide. Sean Walker on the hole for the right side. Svechnikov turned away by Gustafsson. And so the legend continues. His 34th save of the game. And speaking of the number 34, Austin Matthews has 20 points in 14 games ever since his return from injury. Toronto wants to continue going and build a winning run as they take on Seattle in the late games. We'll be right back here in this third period. And Ian, we have a winner in Columbus in OT, Dylan Gunter. He scored the overtime winner his first game back from injury, and he scores his second straight overtime winner, the lone assist from the netminder, Connor Ingram. It's 1-1 between Colorado and Calgary. By the way, Sam Malinsky gets a tying goal with 28 seconds left in the first period. Jonathan Drouin and Casey Middlestad have the assist. They are challenging this goal for offside, however. So that's why this is taking a while. So the replay is taking a while there. So, as well, I did break out the news about Pete Alonso returning to the Mets on a 2-year deal worth $54 million. It does have an opt-out after the first year.
Yeah, man. And Bregman still has not been signed.
Well, this type of market isn't really favoring him. He's looking for a long-term deal, but the market has not been kind to him.
Nope.
So, to recap, Yakov Trenin scoring his 5th of the season. Jackson Blake is the first rookie to take a penalty shot this season. And Vinny Hinostroza's first goal this season after being claimed off waivers as Freddie Anderson mishandled the puck. That's gotta be a bummer. The Hinostroza back onto the ice as Carolina wins this faceoff. They've been the dominant team in this third period, but they're getting goalied here. 34-22, they've outshot the Wild, yet the Wild are up 2-0. From the near corner, Hinostroza tried to center. Can't get one through. Jake Middleton. Screen in front. Nothing there as this pass. Right behind. Oh, there was a wide open net there to be had for Eriksson Ek. He wasn't even close to the puck, but it was right there to be had. Pass intercepted, but a Stickler gets it back for the Canes for a brief moment as it cleared down. Minnesota gets this up off the backboards for Eriksson Ek. Canes steal it. Aho wants to get this down as he shoves this man right behind Gustafsson. Tangle up still. Rantanen there. Jarvis as well. Rantanen gains the stick flex right in on, I believe it's Marcus Foligno. Brock Faber there as well. As this is poked on free over to the left point. Fired around over to the near corner. Racing after it's Brent Burns, who holds this one in. It takes a bounce off one of the Wild players and up onto the mesh. We don't know if this is the last year of Brent Burns' career. Began his career here in Minnesota before getting traded to San Jose, in which it sent Devin Setoguchi the other way. Burns, a long-time offensive dynamo with the San Jose Sharks, went to a Stanley Cup final with them. Now on a cup contending team with the Canes. That's their best offensive defenseman. 6:47 to go. The Canes win another faceoff. Sebastian Aho. Tic-tac-toe as this Rantanen, or rather Taylor Hall as this one fired wide. And it's at the far corner. Brodin on the tie-up. Far corner scooped up by the Wild. Off the near half boards as this is cleared out. Race for this puck will be won by Carolina. Taylor Hall. Straightaway pass was intercepted by Matt Boldy as he sends it down for the ice. And scooped up by Slavin, intended for Burns with Zuccarello closing. Aho will move it up for the middle and taking this one up for the ice through center. And this bounced up as the Wild deny the Canes entry. 6 minutes left. Zuccarello off the near boards for Anderson. Over to the near corner for Burns. Brent Burns takes his time with it. Burns up for the middle. And over the right side, drop off for Jarvis as this was sticked away by Gustafsson. Out the far corner. Right around for the left point as this takes a cross-ice pass from Orlov to Chatfield. Deflection! And Gustafsson gets a hold of it. 5:44 to go here in this third period. 36 shot on goal for Carolina. As we take a look at Toronto's guys, William Nylander with 5 goals in his last 3 games. The Leafs prepare in Seattle when we come back. So, Calgary did challenge the goal from Sam Malinsky. The verdict is no goal. It's offside. So elsewhere around each league and association as we look around through the NBA on their score lines, we do have a final score. Dallas, despite a furious comeback attempt from the Celtics late, they hang on to win 127-120. Klay Thompson leads the way with 25 points on 11 of 17 shooting. 22 from Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench, 7 of 10 shooting. Very efficient, despite being minus 18. Najee Marshall with 20 points, 9 of 15 shooting. Max Christie with 15 points in his Mavericks debut. 6 rebounds and 4 assists off the bench, 6 of 13 shooting. Dante Exum, 5 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 15 points. And Kyrie Irving finishes with 19 on the night. Exum being a plus 29. Kyrie taking the load here. Daniel Gafford with a game-high 15 rebounds and 5 assists for him, 2 blocks. Kyrie with 4 steals. 25 points for Jaylen Brown. And Peyton Pritchard, 21 off the bench on 9 of 15. Jaylen Brown, 9 of 16 shooting. Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis, 17 points each. Derek White with 13 points. So that's the final score here at Boston. 35 shots, 35 saves for the Gus Bus. He's getting prepared for representing Sweden in the Four Nations face-off. We're back here. Carolina looking to get on board. Aho, one-timer for the point. Blocked in front. And one of the Wild Boys goes up and over. Here comes the setup in front for Ogren. Tack, toe, and that's stopped by Anderson. Eriksson Ek was all alone at the swat. Off at the far corner. Johansson stopped by Orlov. Right behind that is Eriksson Ek. Eriksson Ek wants to go at it. And at the far corner, Marcus Johansson looks to set up and getting back onto his feet is Johansson. Carolina at the near half boards. Tangled up between a rock and a hard place. Jake Middleton, Brock Faber. Top defensive pairing in Minnesota as we're in the final 5. Puck is still in play. Nobody saw it until one of the Canes picked it up. Jalen Chatfield sends this deep as this takes a bounce. Onto the far corner, Brody. Munched up by 2 Canes as they want to get the pressure. When does Anderson get pulled? This gets flipped all the way to Carolina ice. As Slavin pick it up. Through the penalty box doors as the Canes regroup. Onto the near half board. Svechnikov holds onto it. Onto the point. Was fired off from Brent Burns. Might have been friendly fire down deep. And Minnesota clears this one down. It will not be icing. And slow to get up is Mikko Rantanen, a little hobbled. He'll slowly make his way to the bench. Burns feeds Rosovic. Glove down by Zach Bogosian with 4:09 to go. Bouncing up over to the left point. And Carolina will see this go over to there at the ice once again. 35 shots on goal to Minnesota's 23, but Minnesota's had the more high danger looks. For the far half boards, the Canes move it up for the ice. Takes a bounce off a skate, settled down by Martinook. Martinook on a deep shot blocked, held in by Walker. Onto the near quarter, Martinook on the hold. Bounced up once, twice, and Declan Chisholm in trouble. Rosovic, Walker there, and the Wild chop it out. 3:35 to go. Walking the zone is Shane Gostisbehere as Walker moves it up. Walker feeds Jordan Martinook on the near side. Now the opposite half boards for Stahl. Jordan Stahl bunched up by Foligno. 32-14 to shot attempts in favor of Carolina. Canes have more shot attempts, but no goal. Sounded it. Wild walk in with this on a shot. It's gloved down by Anderson, and he'll munch it up with 3:11. It may be right around this point in which the Canes may think about pulling Freddie Anderson. Around this point, but it's not being considered right now. Rockets and Timberwolves in the fourth quarter. Rantanen has 19 shifts, 2 shots. Off the space off the Canes have it on the far corner. Should get up for the distance as they get this one back into Minnesota territory. Hall is munched up. Anderson is onto the bench. Empty net here for Carolina. Svechnikov delivers it back deep onto the left point. Now at the far half boards. On this shot, munched up. The shot in front doesn't go all the way front. Turn around shot, they score! They get one back. And Sebastian Aho breaks Philip Gustafsson's shutout. There's one. They need another one. He knows how many shots have been blocked in front. And Sebastian Aho on a turnaround shot nets one at the back of the net. No problem for him. As he sets, so it's set up for the far half boards on the tic-tac-toe. Drop pass from Seth Jarvis. Aho realizes that Middleton goes in and out of Gustafsson's vision. As he does a spinorama shot right in front. I don't know if this takes another bounce in front as Rantanen was on the bench. And finally, there's a goal. Aho gets one back as we get ready for this faceoff. You can expect that Freddie is going to be on for the Carolina bench once again as the Canes look to tie it up. There's one. They need one more. Over the near corner, Middleton scoops it up. Jake Middleton. Under pressure is Joel Eriksson-Ek. Anderson once again at the bench. Seth Jarvis pressuring the seams there at the near corner. Moving it up. Still, it's being pinned towards the corner. Carolina comes away with it. Over the right point, Burns. And a one-timer for the right circle. Missed the net. And this exits the ice. Svechnikov is back into the zone. I have to see when Mikko Rantanen is going to be back onto the ice. But it's one of those times in which we don't have those weird goals. As Jarvis put it out front for Sebastian Aho to find him on the turnaround shot. 17 points in 16 career games against Minnesota. 7 goals, 10 assists, and Rob Brindamore will use his timeout. He is pushing for an equalizer. So how we got here at this point, Jackson Blake gets tangled up from behind, generates a penalty shot, loses the puck at the last moment, and Philip Gustafsson shuts him down. Blake angry at himself for losing control of the puck. And now as this timeout is over, they'll get their best offensive guys onto the ice. Rantanen took a breather, so you can expect him out to the ice for this sequence. Gostisbehere, Burns, Aho, Jarvis, Rantanen, and Svechnikov you would expect onto the ice for Carolina. Those are your guys who wanted the Canes to try to get the equalizer. 17 comeback wins this season. Most in the NHL are the Hurricanes. Faceoff is to the left of Gustafsson. And the Canes are in a tangle up. They take it. Jarvis will feed it onto the near half boards. Svechnikov controls it onto the far corner. Goes back for a one-timer. Bounces wide as it takes a block. Not out as it's held in by Carolina. Walking the right point. Now over the near half boards. 2 minutes ago, now under it. Aho. Plenty of time left to tie it. Back to the point. Aho will look. Moving up front. Rantanen. Back door. Will go back to the point for Ghost. Now back for Rantanen. Rantanen has comfort zone. Looking for Aho. Who does he go to? Gostisbehere. Shane Gostisbehere going to Jarvis. Takes a bounce off the boards. Jarvis. Another bounce off to the boards. Rush for the puck as it was loose. Intended for Rantanen. As Aho was rushing to it to keep it in. Tango up over the near corner. Svechnikov there. Not out as Faber tried to force it out. Aho once again. Now at the top of the right circle. A slapper. Missed it entirely. Chopping the puck. Still free. Behind the net. Middleton can't clear it out. Svechnikov on the hold. Gostisbehere keeping this one in. Burns at the far corner. 1 minute to go. Brent Burns. Back door. One-timer. Missed it. Rebound in front. Middleton gets to the puck in that far corner. Way to get this one out. It's still loose. At the left circle. Keeping this one in. A shot stopped by Gustafsson. Off of Rantanen. It goes back to the point. 43 seconds ago. Rantanen having a hold of it. Mikko Rantanen looks. Once again. Svechnikov. Tango up in front. Still it's loose. As Gustafsson shut the door again. And another keep. As Carolina keeping it one more time. No one-timer. Now one. Stopped by Gustafsson. Svechnikov, 22. Clear attempt. And finally, the wild clear. No icing. 15 seconds to go. Shane Gostisbehere with one last chance. Jackson Blake trying to get over for the line. Hinostroza tangling up his guys. 5 seconds. Did he get one last chance? Gostisbehere fires this one wide. And the Wild hold on. Philip Gustafsson, what a game!
Wow. Just unfreaking believable, man. Look, I know your team, I know the Canes lost, but even you gotta admit, sometimes there is beauty in a loss. Even though it's your team losing, it is one of the games of our time.
It is. This one was tight unto the finish. A goaltending clinic between two teams. And of course, there's beauty, of course, in a loss. The goaltending has been the main highlight. But I don't want to tip my hat to Philip Gustafsson. He finishes tonight with 38 saves. And you can bet that he's going to get the first star this game. I, of course, have him as the man of the match. It's no doubt who it should be. And the puck with 36 seconds was kicked by Brock Faber away from Sebastian Aho. If Faber doesn't kick that puck away from Aho, Carolina ties it up and forces overtime. That was the underrated play of that last sequence. And it shows that Faber is one of the best defenders and one of the best young defenders in the league and deserves to be paid as such. And Minnesota's young stars rising up. Of course, they watch this game from start to finish as the women playing hockey watching this game, of course, getting a shout out as you have the 3 stars of this game. You bet one of them is going to Gustafsson. I'm waiting for this moment. Of course, we're waiting on the moment of the truth on Sunday. This is the first star. The honor goes to Vinny Hinostroza. First goal of the season in his debut with the Minnesota Wild. Dying to number 18. Well, he's the second star, actually. And the first star to Philip Gustafsson. How fitting is this? Well, Philip Gustafsson actually gets the second star. Jared Spurgeon the first star. But no doubt Gustafsson would have been my first star of the game. That's who I would have chosen here. So Spurgeon had the assist on the Hinostroza game winner. That was 49 seconds into the third period. But nonetheless, this is a special moment all around. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. You have anything else to say before we wrap this one up, Ian?
No, sir. I'm just getting mentally prepared for Sunday.
Hopefully to have you there, unless if you have any plans for Super Bowl Sunday.
I may join in at points, but I gotta be honest, Alec. You really don't want me a part of that broadcast the entire time, because I know you like to keep your broadcasts with clean language most of the time, and I will not have clean language. I will join you at points, but I cannot stay on for an entire broadcast. Not with a game of this magnitude.
I gotcha. And I understand it. It's the most important game ever in an NFL season. Of course, when you have a game like this, it's going to be viewed by a lot of people. And I know those who are saying they won't be watching those who are saying that they won't be watching are basically lying to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Because this will be easily the most watched game of the season. How else can it be described? Well, Saturday is the revival of the Hot Box here on Twitter Spaces. We'll be hosting it with Patrick Rush. We've agreed that we will revive this show getting it back from the dead like Undertaker in a WWE event. So stay tuned for that. It is the Super Bowl edition of the Hot Box for the Super Bowl trivia. Sunday is the main broadcast. And stay tuned as John and I will have future broadcasts for the Four Nations face-off in the coming days right after the Super Bowl, beginning Wednesday. So that's going to be all here for tonight. Minnesota wins 2-1. Alongside Ian Genge, I am Alec Nava saying good night and stay safe, everyone.
Peace.